Good morning, Raptor freaks. Lexiot's here. It's Friday, and we lost to the Oklahoma City Thunder, but we beat the Greensboro Swarm. 2 games at Scotiabank Arena yesterday, 11 a.m. The G League team took the court to 19,000 screaming school day fans, the biggest crowd in G League history. The record was broken yesterday as we filled our entire main squad arena for our G League team with school kids. And the effect was felt as far as a fantastic environment to play basketball in. Yeah, there were 2 routes in the Scotiabank Arena yesterday. Raptors 905 routed Greensboro Swarm by quite a bigger margin, five points more than Oklahoma City routed the Raptors. Good stuff. And, in some ways, things like intangibles matter in these kind of games. The crowd mattered for the 905ers and the add-on of the Raptor rookies to allow the Raptors 905 to play at a new level that they have not played at this entire G League season. Adding those talented guys that have been having to be on the main roster because of injuries really made 905 good. Imagine that. And so, in some ways, I hope that they continue to play for them. Like today, when we play Westchester Knicks tonight, 7:30 at the regular arena, Paramount Fine Food Center. This is the first game of 2 games in a row against the Westchester Knicks, where we are supposed to be going to the game on Sunday. So tonight, they play Westchester Knicks at Paramount Fine Food Center, and it's a toiletry drive. If you're going to the game and you can, go get some toiletries from the store and donate them for a good cause. Season of giving for Raptors 905 franchise. There's a couple games they're doing this for, and tonight is one of them against Westchester Knicks, who are 4-4, exactly 500. And now the Raptors 905 are 3-8, I believe, something like that. So, yeah, we got our 3rd win last night. It was fantastic. Yesterday, I should say. It wasn't last night. And that was a really fun game to watch with the Raptors 905 because they just kicked a lot of butt. Now, the game later against the Thunder and SGA and Lou Dort, well, it was very much in their favor. But intangibles, once again, the crowd and having the rookies really helped the earlier team. Well, not having Jakob and also playing against the best team in the Western Conference, yeah, we see what happens there. Oklahoma City has their shit together. They have a very good coach. They have probably the best player in the league. And, it showed last night. The thing I like about what the Thunder did last night is they're all business. They're not messing around. They ain't playing with their food. They're going in and beating people because that's their job. They're in the NBA. They're a top team, and they should be beating people. In some ways, I feel real good about them for this year. Out of all the teams we've seen so far this year, they're one of the very, very best. Them and Cleveland are probably the 2 best teams I've seen this year play against the Raptors so far. And, yeah, they're nice. They're nice. And it's crazy to think even that they're not totally full strength because they do have some injuries to people like Chet Holmgren. So, wow, the Thunder, you guys are awesome. And SGA is SGA. I mean, he's doing SGA stuff. SGA going to be SGA. Just like Lou Dort going to be Lou Dort, too, to an extent. There was some Lou Dort stuff going on out there. In fact, it's kind of fun to see Lou Dort mixing it up with his fellow Montreal guy, Chris Boucher, going after loose balls and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a fun game, even though we lost. At least it was somewhat entertaining. And, once again, I'll say this. Without Jakob out there, you see the difference. In fact, I would say a loss like this, which ended up being about 30 points, maybe has 10 points shaved off it, maybe 15 points shaved off it, maybe even 20 if Jakob Poeltl is available and playing in this game. Hartenstein did have a big impact as far as being the biggest guy on the court and some of the big things he did as a big, and that did matter. Bruno Fernando was ineffective as the replacement started last night. I don't know if Bruno was starting because it's Giants of Africa night or that Darko just really respected Isaiah as a big man and that he needed to have another big man out there. I don't know. There were a couple of choices he could have made. In some ways, it showed that maybe he needed to pick Scott's best friend, John, to start in the lineup instead off the bat. In the second half, Jonathan got to start the game after halftime in the second half. And that was an adjustment because Bruno really did kind of not look good in the first part of the game. He really, really didn't. All right, let's do all the regular stuff on the reaction stream. We got 2 games to react to, so a bunch of stars to give out. In fact, we're going to do something today that I haven't done very often on this channel, but we're going to do it today because of what happened. And also, we got to talk about a little bit about the game tonight, classic card of the day, Instagram stories, all the normal stuff, and more on the WNBA name and the things that are going on with that also. So let's go. Raptor Freak Stream. Activate. I got purple fever. All right, let's see what y'all are saying. First, y'all will direct me. Monique is first in the chat. And oh, man, last night, holy cow. Wow, 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 wow. Monique got a picture taken with our great president, Masai Ujiri. Yes, Mo ran into Masai on Giants of Africa night, y'all. And there was a beautiful picture posted in our Facebook chat last night during the game. Monique posting a picture of smiling Masai with Monique, and it's fantastic. I can only imagine what she said to him. I know when I met Masai 10 years ago, I said, thank you. I said, thank you. And this is 10 years ago. This is way before the championship. This is 5 years before the championship. I said, thank you. Thank you for changing my team and making my team better after the stuff we saw in Open Gym this week with the Colangelo era coming from before. Colangelo wasn't as bad. He started us on the right track to getting better, but Masai really got us back when he took over 10 years ago, just over 10 years ago. So, man, it's a treat, I'm sure, to be in his presence, Monique, and it's fantastic. I'm sure he knew exactly who you were. He's like, probably because of Kimberly, and it was probably really, really cool that you got to meet him. I think you've met him before, right? But I hadn't seen a picture of him with you before until last night, which is fantastic. Monique has got a collection of pictures with great Raptors, current and past, is just a phenomenal collection of pictures with her and these great Raptors icons and legends like Masai Ujiri last night. That was fantastic. Mo's saying, good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Weird game all night. Thank you, Masai. A moment I'll never forget. Great halftime performance, though. Yeah, you will never forget this, I'm sure. And I am in some ways very curious about what you guys discussed. What did you discuss with Masai Ujiri last night, Monique? I want to know in some ways. But yeah, that was a weird game. You're right. In some ways, it's not weird, though, because it's Oklahoma City. And in some ways, I was kind of expecting the Raptors to have a hard time last night. And, Oklahoma City, like I said, they're very professional. They're doing things right. They're playing all out. They don't take plays off. They're playing in a certain way. They have no mercy. You make mistakes yourself, they're going to capitalize on them. And you got to play perfect. And they're going to play mostly perfect themselves. That's the thing. And, they're a good gauge to kind of gauge ourselves against as far as where they're at and where we could be at in the future. There's in some ways, like they said on the broadcast, Oklahoma City is kind of an example of how to do things to get in the right direction for people like Masai and Bobby. That, watching them, Sam Presti, what he's done over the last few years to get to the point where the Thunder are right now is something that other teams would be enviable, and they want to compare, and they try and do it themselves. And, well, some of the blueprints for the Raptors may be found in the Thunder. And, like I've said before, the teams are all on escalator of success. They're coming up or going down. Sometimes they're on the down escalator. But you want to be on the up escalator, you got to be on certain steps. And some steps are higher on the escalator to get to the top than the ones that some other teams are on. And right now we're lower on the escalator, and the Thunder are up closer to getting to the next level, which is the championship. And they are on their way, man. I'm telling you. I love this team. I like their team a lot. I'm not a hater. I don't care that we lost to them in some ways because that is our dude from Team Canada. That is our guy that plays and puts on for our country. And his success overall, to a degree, is a success for this whole entire country. So how can I hate SGA? How can I hate Lou Dort? How can I go against them and them trying to get an NBA title for the Thunder? I can't. I'm with Lloyd. I love the Thunder in some ways because they rep Canada indirectly. And SGA coming home and doing that for the home crowd, that's just him providing the entertainment the NBA gives to the Canadian crowd that paid the money to buy the ticket to go to the game. You going to go there? You want to see real SGA. You want to see SGA at his full powers. You don't want to see him loafing. You don't want to see him DMPing. No, you want to see him out there in full effect. And that's what the people got last night. That's what the people got. SGA, the player of the game for sure, for both sides. For both sides. Tristan's here. Good morning to Tristan, a great Raptor freak. We love you, Tristan. I hope you've been doing very well so far this December, this holiday season. Always good to see Tristan check in on the chat. You guys, all the best to you, man. Let's see. Most saying at least the 905 one, and what a final score. Great coaching by Drew Jones. Yeah, Andrew is probably very, very happy with the outcome yesterday and finally feeling like that. That was the first time the Raptors 905 ever kind of took a game with force and carried it all the way through without any problems of the team coming up after them and overtaking them. Because there was a few games already this season where the 905 had the lead and were doing very well, and then sometime in the late in the third or in the fourth quarter, they fall apart and the other team takes over. But no, yesterday during the day, that fantastic game in front of all those kids and the Raptors, Darko, Masai, and Bobby all sit in a row there. And so were a lot of the Raptors players. They decided to come to another 905 game, even though the first one they went to this season may have soured them on coming because it was such a disappointment that one night the whole Raptors team was there earlier this season in Mississauga. Well, Scotty, Davion, RJ coming to the game, at least those couple of those Raptors were sitting at the sideline watching the 905 game and taking it all in and hearing that crowd, that crazy kids crowd. I say the future is bright for Raptors fandoms because the kids are all right. Those kids are loud, and I hope they never, ever grow up to the point where they don't feel like they can be loud like that at Raptors games. Keep going, kids. Do not stop being loud. You guys are awesome. And that arena may have been the loudest it's been ever, just because the kids are full effect and they're the whole arena. That's saying the bottom deck is loud when the kids are there, and they're very, very loud. Usually it's the upper deck for regular Raptors games because the real ones are up there, and the lower deck can be kind of quiet because of corporate types and rich people that just are above being loud. Well, the kids, when they're there and there's 19,000 of them, they're very loud. They're very, very loud. And it does sound like a Double Dare audience screaming times 1,000. That's right. A Double Dare audience, the old TV show on Nickelodeon, Mark Summers. Physical challenge, Mark. Okay, physical challenge. Let's go. All right. Yeah, it sounded like that times 1,000 in the arena. It's so awesome. I love it. No chocolate bars were thrown on the court this time. None of them. Yeah, let's go look at the stars of the game for that game, which was a rout win for the Raptors, 905. They had a fantastic game out of a guy that, there was one guy who started yesterday that was not a Raptors rookie that had been playing on the big squad a lot. They started Jacoby, Jamal, Jonathan, and Jameson with one guy from the team that's normally on it, Dylan Disu, and he is my star of the game. Dylan Disu had a career night, and he said it after the game. He's never shot this well from three as far as what he did yesterday. 9 of 10 from the field. 8 of 9 from three. That's right. In some ways, this is the thing. Dylan Disu is built like a power forward center. This guy, in some ways, is a shot blocker and a rebounder. But the way he was shooting the three yesterday made me think, this guy might be in the NBA soon. Because honestly, he has been killing it on the three this year so far. And he is a very good shot blocker and rebounder. So he is very useful to NBA teams. I could see Disu being called up this year because he's like that. He's just like that. 8 of 9 from three. He said he's made more threes in games earlier in his career, like in high school, but he's never, ever made it at that high percentage where he had, only missed 1 out of 9, 8 of 9. It's fantastic. It's amazing. It's so good. 5 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 turnover, a plus 24, 26 points in 26 minutes. Dylan Disu, you are the player of the game for the 905 game, school days game. And what a great after-game interview, man. Just a well-grounded young man who really, really understands, what's going on. And he just was really smart. He's got the right attitude and a great pro, I can tell already. So congratulations, Disu. on coming out there and doing good things. Second star, I'm going to give it to Eugene Omoruyi, a Canadian. He was off the bench yesterday, but he actually was the leading scorer for the 905. He scored more than Disu. He was 11 of 14. So another great scorching shooting performance by one of the 905ers, Eugene Omoruyi, 11 of 14, 3 of 4 from 3. So he's hitting threes. He did shoot 3 of 5 from the free throw line, which is kind of annoying that he missed 2 free throws there. But, whatever. He shot better from the three-point line than the free throw. 7 rebounds for Eugene, 1 assist, 1 block, 3 turnovers, a plus 16, 29 points in 26 minutes. So this guy went over his minutes with points. 29 points for Eugene yesterday. Fantastic game. He was really scrapping out there. I call him ethical Draymond because in some ways he has the same body type as Draymond Green, and in some ways he could be just as crazy, dirty, and defensive as Draymond, but he's ethical. He's still physical. He still gets it in there and mixes it up, and he does dirty work like puts back garbage points and does different things like set screen. But I call him ethical Draymond because he's a little bit like Draymond in his body type, but he is ethical and not trying to hurt nobody out there. My third star of the game is Kennedy Chandler, who came off the bench. Kennedy did not get to start yesterday because of the rookies, the Jays coming in and taking the starting jobs, but he played a lot of minutes. In some ways, those guys got to play more minutes off the bench by the end of the game than the Raptor rookies that were coming in. And it may be partly because Andrew Jones knew that Darko was going to want to play them later on in the game later. So in some ways, he didn't give them starters minutes. Like they all played right around 20 minutes, the Raptors rookies that were playing. They didn't play over 20 minutes, most of them. And so the guys off the bench that normally start for 905 got 30 minutes, even though they came off the bench. And Chandler was 6 of 13 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3, 1 of 2 at the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 14 assists, 1 block, 0 turnovers. So on that fact right there, Kennedy Chandler had a 14-0 assist to turnover game yesterday. That is amazingly good. And in some ways, Chandler, your career arc, your season arc, as far as what's going on this year with us, is getting better and better. You're very, very selfish to start, very, very egotistical playing just for yourself. But man, a game like yesterday will change my opinion about you quick. A 14 assist, 0 turnover game. Kennedy Chandler, are you kidding me? That is the stuff of Stockton right there, my guy. I love it so much. A plus 18 with 16 points in 31 minutes. He still called his number to an extent, and it was mostly efficient. So, yeah, Chandler, I had to give you a nod for 14-0 on the assist-to turnover ratio, man. That is so good. My fourth star is one of the rookies, the J rookies that played in both games. And, in fact, he's going to be a star for both of the games yesterday. He's a star for 905, and I put him as one of the 3 stars in the Raptors' loss, too. That's Jamison Battle. 21 minutes, 4 of 9 from the field, 4 of 7 from 3. Yeah, Battle's greatness from the three-point line translates to G League, y'all. It does. In some ways, he's showing that maybe these guys, some of them showed that they didn't belong down there. I'm going to say that right now. I'll say specifically, Battle and Mobo are already too good for G League. Mobo made his G League start for the first time ever, and in some ways, he proved something yesterday. We'll talk about it in a second. But first, Battle, 4 of 7 from 3. Fantastic shooting from outside by him. 1 of 1 at the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 1 turnover, a plus 22 with 14 points in 21 minutes. As I said, those J rookies did not get to play huge minutes for the 905 yesterday, probably in anticipation that they would be doing double duty playing for the Raptors later. In fact, they did. And in fact, the Raptors broke a record yesterday for the most players in G League to play in both a G League and NBA game on the same day. 4 players suited up for the 905 in the morning, played minutes, and then they came out and played in the Raptors game later. Now, because of the situation of the Raptors G League with the main team being Mississauga and Toronto, the Raptors organization leads the G League in this kind of stat, that we have the most players out of the whole entire league that have done double duty like this in the history of it. So, yeah, we broke a record yesterday having the Raptors 905ers rookies play in both games, the most of them. Never had 4 those guys do it at once. There's been 1 guy who does double duty or 2 guys. They never had 4 guys do double duty in the history of the NBA and the G League until yesterday. So in some ways, the Raptors breaking records on the down low that nobody want to talk about. And I'll talk about it. Nobody else is going to talk about it. That's right. My last star of the game for the 9:05 game, the fifth star, is Tyreek Key. Tyreek Key has had some trouble recently with shooting slump, has been off in really bad games in recent past, but yesterday he woke up and he came back a bit. Maybe it was because Battle was around. He's like, oh, you're like me, Spider-Man, pointing at me. Oh, you're like me. You make three-point shots like crazy. 21 minutes, Tyreek Key was 4 of 5 from the field, including 3 of 3 from the three-point line. Perfect 3 of 3 from 3. He did miss his only free throw chance. 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 turnover, plus 14, 11 points for Tyreek Key. He started getting it back on track, and I wanted to recognize that. So, Tyreek, you're the fifth star. So, those are my 5 stars. Dylan Disu, Eugene Marui, Kennedy Chandler, Jamison Battle, and Tyreek Key. The rest of the guys, I'll just go over them real quick. Jonathan Mobo was 4 of 5 with 9 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and plus 14. He hit his only 3-point attempt in the 9:05 game yesterday. So he was solid. He only played 13 minutes, though. He was barely out there, and he got 9 points. Jacoby Walter, 3 of 4 in 13 minutes. He was out there, barely out there, too, just like Jonathan. They really only got a small taste. He made his only 3-point attempt. 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 0 turnovers for Jacoby, 7 points, a plus 24. Jamal Shed got 21 minutes, 2 of 8 from the field. He missed all 3 of his threes. He made his only free throw, 2 rebounds. He did have 12 assists, but 0 turnovers. So just like Kennedy Chandler, this guy had 12 assists, 0 turnover game. So look at that. That's 26-0 assist to turnover ratio for the 2 main point guards that played for 9:05 yesterday. That's part of why you blow them out. It's 12-0, 12 assists, 0 turnovers. Jamal Shed in the 9:05 game yesterday, 6 points, plus 22. Quincy Guerriere, 3 of 5. He was pretty good off the bench, too. 3 of 5, missed his only 3-point attempt, 1 of 2 at the free throw line, 3 rebounds, and plus 23 with 7 points. Kevin O'Banner just came in for a hot cup of coffee for 7 minutes, was 1 of 2 at the free throw line, didn't really do anything else. Tyler Perry came out and kind of was scrappy, got a steal, 1 of 1 from the field, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 points, plus 15 in 7 minutes. Miles Burns came out for an appearance just real quick. I wasn't sure if he was going to get in because it was pretty full with the rotation, but he got 8 minutes, 1 of 4 from the field, missed his only 3, missed his only free throw, 2 rebounds, 1 steal, plus 9 with 2 points. Evan Gilliard, 22 minutes, 2 of 7, 0 of 4 from the field, 3 from the 3, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 1 turnover, and 4 points. Yeah, just fantastic point guard play by the Raptors 905 point guards, Kennedy Chandler and Jamal Shed, and even Evan Gilliard having 4 assists with 1 turnover. So it's like between all of them, 30 assists and 1 turnover between all of the Raptors 905. It's a fantastic blowout win, and I'm so proud of that team doing that. Now we want to see these guys return tonight. There's no Raptors game today. It may be triple duty because they played 2 games yesterday, but send them to Mississauga to play the Westchester Knicks. I want to see more Mobo, more Battle, more Walter, and more Shed with that team because that gives Andrew Jones a chance to win the game. Basically, that's what I say. You got to have these guys down there because they're getting the practice, they're getting the shots, they're getting the opportunity to excel and get better away from the main squad. And that's good. That's good. We'll do the box score and just a little bit of the team stats and stuff like that in a sec. Yeah, great game, 9:05. A great day for Trevor J and his birthday yesterday, getting a chance to celebrate it and with a victory during the day. Well, he might have been at the spa at that point, but yeah, Trevor's saying this: the greatest gift you can have is life. It wasn't promised to you today, but you woke up. So be very thankful you are still here because many people don't get that chance today. Yeah, that's the very basic tenement of gratitude is be grateful to be alive. Yeah, and that you get to breathe another day. It's so true. Some people oversight that all so much. It's easy to oversight that because you just exist and you're just, I'm awake again. But there are people that pass away during the night. There are people that lose all kinds of things in their life, and it's sad. So be grateful for what you got. Seriously, really, really practice gratitude. It's the best characteristic a human can do because it keeps them grounded. And it also allows them to really appreciate the things in life that everybody needs to take a moment to appreciate. Thank you, Trevor, for your words of wisdom. And I hope your birthday was fantastic, my guy. Yeah, Most saying, welcome back, Grady. And Teresa Resch was in the arena. Yeah, Grady Dick did return to the lineup yesterday for the Raptors. And, well, let's go to the other game since Monique is my producer and she's telling me what's up. She's got the cue cards. Here we go. Grady Dick is my star of the game for the Raptors game last night. I think he was the best Raptor last night overall. It was weird because, Grady getting back to come back. He's back after 5-game missing. And, in some ways, he's a jump shooter. He's a three-point specialist in some ways. And these kind of guys usually take some time to get the rhythm back and get going. But not Grady. It's weird. He came out and he was a little flat at first, but it really only took him like half a quarter to kind of get back in his rhythm and get going back in the way that he's supposed to. And in fact, it was very interesting that in this game against Oklahoma City last night, that normally RJ and Scotty are just operating like they want to, but that wasn't the case last night. In fact, both of them had bad games last night in some ways. RJ was okay, but Scotty was not his full self. I really give a lot of credit to the Oklahoma City Thunder's defensive system, which in some ways is predicated on packing the paint or making it real murky in the middle. And anybody who wants to operate like with cuts or drives the basket, you're not going to be successful because you got people like SGA and Lou Dort swiping with their long arms and messing you up. And then you got Hartenstein in there too with strength and size, and he's a very good defender also. So it's like the Oklahoma City Thunder in some ways are an antidote to stop somebody like RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett has a certain type of game and a certain motion that he does in games that has been very excellent in weeks past recently. But last night, he was not as good in some ways because the Thunder had the right recipe in the matchup to hinder him. And in some ways, RJ, by the end of the game, had to adjust and not do what he'd been normally doing in games to be so excellent with his great, consistent scoring that he's been giving us lately. But Grady, which is interesting, his style of play and the way he plays, he was able to navigate and live in this environment of the Oklahoma City defense and still be successful. And that was fantastic. Grady played 23 minutes. They said he was on a minutes restriction and that he wasn't going to be able to play a whole lot of minutes. In fact, Darko said after the game, if he wasn't on a minutes restriction, Grady Dick would have played more than just the 23 minutes he played. He was 5 of 9 from the field. So great shooting, making more than he missed. 4 of 8 from the three-point line. Fantastic. 50% from the three-point line in your first game back, and you managed to nail 4 of them. Grady was fantastic. 1 of 2 from the free throw line. In fact, the second free throw he missed was weird because it was missed on purpose. I could tell. He flung it at the backboard. I think he was trying to do a play where he was going to get his own rebound and try and make it a 2-shot, but he didn't bounce it right, and it went to Oklahoma City as far as them rebounding. But I saw that, Grady. You don't shoot free throws that bad. Did you throw the ball at the hoop and the backboard on purpose to try and get an extra point in a rebound putback? Because that's what it seemed like. Because you shot that second free throw really bad. really bad. 1 rebound for Grady, 2 steals, -8 with 15 points in 23 minutes. I mean, that's our star of the game. He had 15 points. None of the Raptors scored 20 points last night. It was just a really difficult team to score against. The Thunder were really stymieing us, and only 17 points in the first quarter symbolizes this. But Grady was my number 1 star for efficiency and being able to work against that very difficult Thunder defense. My second star is Jonathan Mobo. It's crazy. Jonathan, in some ways, played better in the Raptors game than he played in the 905 game. 905, he was fine. He didn't play a whole lot. He was only there for 13 minutes. He got like 9 points, and he did fine. But in the Raptors game, for some reason, I guess maybe it's because he's playing off Scott. There's a Scott factor. Scotty Barnes playing with Jonathan Mobo. That's a bonus for Mobo because in some ways Scott is out there looking for him and finding him. And he was. He very much was setting him up. And in some ways, because the defense of the Thunder was a certain way, some of the figuring out the puzzle of getting by them was including Mobo and kind of like broken plays and just getting it to him and hurrying up and him making something happen. There's a lineup out there last night that I absolutely enjoyed that was all about connections. They had Scotty and Jonathan out there. They had Jacoby and Davion out there, and then they had Chris Boucher. And that team is a very energetic team that gets after it, but it's also a team of familiarity. You got Scotty and Jonathan, who known each other since they were kids. You got Davion and Jacoby, who are best friends from Baylor. And then Chris is kind of like the glue guy in the middle that ties it all together with his persona and his energy, the way he is. He's very much like Jonathan. In some ways, he's very much like Davion and Jacoby also, and Scotty. So that I like that lineup that was out there for a little while. And when that lineup was out there, all those guys were flourishing in some ways. Like Davion was doing what Davion does. Jacoby's just on the spot and getting ripping away rebounds the other team gets, which is crazy. Oklahoma City comes down with the rebound, and all of a sudden Jacoby's pulled it out of their arms, and he's got the ball for us. I love that. Well, Jonathan was fantastic because he was getting after it. He's putting that energy in. In some ways, I love seeing Jonathan Mobo hit the floor to get after a loose ball against Lou Dort. He's going against one of the best hustlers and toughest, scrappiest players in the league, Lou Dort. And Jonathan Mobo is getting on the ground, rolling around with him, trying to get to the ball. You know, they let some stuff go like in the game, the refs. There was one play where Jonathan was getting nailed by the Thunder players in the paint. They didn't call nothing. They lost the ball. And then we came down the floor, and Davion basically took the ball out of Lou Dort's hands so strongly that he threw Lou to the floor. But no whistle on that either. So that's how you know the referees were calling it fair. You're going to call the mugging of Jonathan Mobo when the Thunder all swarm him and take the ball away from him. Well, you better not call it when Davion Mitchell gets all ball and he puts Lou Dort on the floor on the other end when they come down the other way. Because all fair and love and war, right? Referees. That's what I'm saying. You're going to let him play? You better let him play. Jonathan was better in this game than 905. 23 minutes, 6 of 10 from the field. Hit his only 3. So he had 2 3-pointers yesterday. 1-3 in the 905 game, 1 for 1, 1-3 in the regular season game for the Raptors, 1 of 1 also. Fantastic. 4 of 6 at the free throw line. Clean up those free throws, Jonathan. 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. 1 of 1, 1. All stat stuff in all categories for just 1. Minus 28, though. 17 points for Jonathan. One of his more higher scoring games as an NBA pro so far. In fact, Jonathan got to do the post-game interview because he was the leading scorer for the Raptors with RJ. They both scored 17, and they were 2 highest scoring Raptors in this game. So, yeah, Jonathan getting the post-game interview, and Scotty setting him up for success in different ways. It was very fun to watch. My third star in this game is actually Jamison Battle. I couldn't give it to RJ. RJ was close. He got a double-double. He got 11 rebounds and 17 points, but it's just not good enough, RJ. The shooting, 5 of 19 or 5 of 16, and turnovers also. You guys, you and Scotty, well, actually, RJ only had 1 turnover. But RJ's so close to being a star, but I just expect a little bit more from him. He's got to have a 20-point game. And if he's not getting 20 points, even though it's a double-double, he could be my third star. But in some ways, I wanted to recognize, once again, Jamison Battle. So Mobo and Battle got stars. Battle got stars for both games. Jamison Battle, 13 minutes, 2 of 3, 2 of 3 from 3. He took all the shots from 3, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 6 points. We got an extended period of Battle Dick formation last night, and it's fun. When Grady and Jamison are on the court together and they're shooting threes on alternating possessions, that's what we're talking about. That's when the Raptors are starting to go in more of the trend of the general NBA with the importance of three-pointers. You can put Battle and Dick in formation, and then all of a sudden, boom, you've got spacing, and you've got 2 very dead-eye three-point shooters out there threatening to shoot. Well, they got to spread that floor then. And boom, they are having trouble covering both of them on defense. So I like that formation. I like the Battle Dick formation. And we got to see it in stretches last night, which was fantastic. And it's always very interesting to see Grady Dick come down, hit a 3 on 1 possession. Then we come back the next possession, and Jamison Battle hits the 3. And then we come back the next possession, and Scotty Barnes hits the 3. I like that kind of stuff. So Jamison ended up being my third star. Honorable mention to RJ Barrett. Yeah, Dick, Mobo, and Battle. My 3 stars for the Raptors against Oklahoma City. Yeah, it is tough, man. Teresa Resch doing the interview during the game with Savannah Hamilton, explaining a little bit more about the Toronto tempo and what has happened Yes, it was leaked by accident by the WNBA website, which was a real idiotic, dumb thing. But Teresa's handling it with grace. She came on breakfast television yesterday morning and officially announced the team name is officially Toronto Tempo. I want to say this, guys. I've thought about the name a lot in the last couple days since we found out about it during the leak. And it's growing on me. I like the name. I like the name itself. Now, like a lot of people are saying, the logo's a little bit Maybe even the color scheme's a little I'm confused about the color scheme, Teresa, because right now it looks like a wine and a powder blue kind of thing that you guys are using in the early ads. Maybe these were the prototypes in the early ones, and you got more stuff coming because you did admit on breakfast television that you guys didn't get all the apparel made yet, and that this is sprung on y'all early, and they wanted to have stuff out to be able to be bought. She was wearing a very, very cool Toronto Tempo jacket, Roots jacket at the game last night when she's interviewed by Savannah Hamilton. But man, in some ways we want to get this stuff now when it's fresh, and I know we will. We'll come around and get it. But I'm growing the name is growing on me. But in some ways the logo has still got some things that got to work. Now, they have a website up. WNBA, a Toronto Tempo website, and on it there's a little bit more explanation to why the logo is the way it is. And in some ways, these tines that come off of the T are symbolic of the 5 women that take the court for the Toronto Tempo. But there's 6 of them, Lex. Wait a second. There's 6 little tines that come off the logo. What does that mean? Well, the 6th person, the fans. So the symbolism of the lines that come off the T for the graphic for the logo are supposed to represent the teamwork of the 5 players on the court for them, plus the 6th tine is for the fans. So just so y'all know, they have to do a little bit of storytelling and reasoning for why they did some of the things, and that will help flesh out the why it is the way it is. So I don't know, does that help with the acceptance of the logo, understanding that there is actually symbolism behind the way the logo was designed? In some ways, that does help me because it says, okay, this has a purpose, and there was something thought out about this. A lot of people are saying what Monique and other people said, that our Toronto Tempo logo may look too much like the Indiana Pacers logo. And some people have even compared it to looking a little bit like this logo right here, but it's not really. It's all growing on me. And in some ways, I'm a full-fledged Toronto Tempo fan already. And I'm going to root for this team no matter what. I just hope that it gets off the ground and it's successful. And that, if they didn't need to worry about getting me. I was going to be there either way. You need to get the fans and attract new fans. And that's what I'm worried about is the Toronto Tempo name and the things that you're building right now, Teresa Resch, with the team. Is it attractive to bring in new fans and get and garner people coming in? That's what is more important. In some ways, you already had the Raptor Freaks. We're going to be there. But how are you going to do this to get people that aren't maybe not even basketball fans to be getting into it? We'll have to see. I only wish success for you guys. I don't want anybody to think any criticism or things I'm saying about this WNBA process is going on is me being a hater. No, I want it to succeed, and I'm going to try and help it from my end. I just talk about things critically, and I want to react honestly. It very much may be that the last time I talked badly about the logo or the name will be yesterday. It could very well be that way. In some ways, I'm like still kind of like, yeah, it's meh. It's meh. But also at the same time, Toronto Tempo, the more I put it in my head and let it bounce around, the more it's actually appreciating value instead of depreciating. So they may be onto something. In some ways, there's a lot of people online that are saying that they like it. Teresa Resch talking about it on the broadcast last night, saying that they had a certain millions of interactions about the name, and that is what she's looking at. That whether good or bad, they're talking about it. They're talking about it. And that matters for something. All publicity is good, even if some of the comments are like, this is a horrible name. Get rid of this name. This name better be Tempo Rary. I don't like that part of it. In some ways, it's a root word to temporary. And we don't want the Raptors. I mean, we don't want the Canadian WNBA team to be temporary. We want it to be very successful and be a long-standing pillar in Toronto sports community for the decades and eons to go. And in some ways, this is important because we know in the WNBA, it's a different league than the NBA. It's not as popular in some ways. And in some ways, there have been teams that have come and gone, like the Dodo, in this league. And in some ways, there is a lot more danger of this team not being successful and us losing it in the first 10 years of it, just so y'all know. So, that's in some ways part of the gamble and the risk and the really high stakes things that are going on with the Toronto Tempo. I'm excited though, but it's true. We don't have players until like a year from now. So it's like we're really in a weird period where we just have the logo and the team name and kind of they can start world building with it, but we don't have any concrete players or any kind of strategizing about all that until really almost a year from now. So, man, it's going to be a long year of just rooting for the Toronto Tempo. No roster, no people. It is what it is. Monique said, love watching Jameson Battle shoot the three because you almost know it's going in. Yeah. Yeah. There was a time in the game last night, like in the beginning of the game, Grady came out and hit his first three, and that was a great sign. I was like, oh yeah, Grady's back. But then he was nearing the end of his first stint, and I could tell they were about to come in with Jacoby and Davion. And Grady got a little panicky. He started rushing shots. There was a couple of shots that he took that were really not his normal kind of posture and like shot. He really was kind of, some of it was because the shot clock was running out, but also he was trying to force stuff. And that when Grady tries to force stuff like that, that's never good. But thankfully later on, he calmed down and let the game just come to him. I mean, I'm sure that he's had a little bit of fears seeing Jacoby start a few games and do pretty well, that his spot may be kind of lost. So it was really good that he came back and he started last night, and he was our best player last night. In some ways, he really was our best player. Battle was fantastic. Yeah. Battle is a confident shooter, and that's why he's so valuable. I was saying this in the chat yesterday. It was never Carlson versus Fernando, guys. Fernando is necessary to the team, and because of the nature of things with him, there was probably already an unspoken agreement that Bruno is going to make the team. It was always between Carlson and Battle, not Fernando and Carlson. And, I'm really happy they chose Battle over Carlson. I'm sorry. I know that Carlson was there last night, and he did come in the game at the end for the Thunder and get some garbage time. He was very much cheering when Isaiah Hartenstein blocked Bruno Fernando. He was very much cheering when the Thunder were kicking our butt. And in some ways, he's kind of already a hater on the Raptors, I can tell, on the down low. And I mean, I get it. We may have jerked you around a little bit this year as far as with bringing you in on a two-way, getting your hopes up, taking it away from you, and then even having you on 905, and boom, you get snatched up by Oklahoma City. Well, you're in a better place, honestly. You are, Brandon, because that team is higher up on the escalator. And in some ways, you get to see a great player like SGA. Just don't diss Canada around your two team captains there, Lou Dort and SGA, because they're Canadians, my guy. And you may be mad at Toronto in the Raptors 905 for relegating you, but remember, your best player is from this country. So don't be talking no trash about Canada. That's right. That's right. Yeah, Jameson's a bucket for sure. Trevor's saying Mobo had career high, 17 points. He was great. Yeah, I really impressed with those guys. And doing the double duty was fun. Jonathan saying it was fun. The game in the morning reminded him of AAU, is what he said. I don't know. That may be a little bit of an insult. Yeah, Mobo, I don't know how much you really do need to be down there. The only thing I would say is if we were fully healthy and we were getting minutes out of Kelly Olynyk and Bruce Brown and Emmanuel Quickly, the piece of the pie and the rotation on the Raptors may make it so that you do need to be down there on the G League just to get as many minutes as possible during the season. In some ways, that has been a real problem for Andrew Jones. We saw it yesterday. We'd be kicking G League ass if we had our rookies available every single game for Andrew Jones to use. So in some ways, it's like I see Mobo not really needing G League to an extent, but also at the same time, he could really help G League. And maybe G League needs him more than he needs G League, is what it seems like to me right now. Out of those other guys, though, I think Shed absolutely needs G League. I think Jameson is like Mobo. He maybe doesn't need G League because the basic way the way you look at it is their game pretty much the same at both levels? Is the output and what they're doing pretty much at the same levels? And yeah, Battle and Mobo are consistent in both levels at about the same kind of level. Jamal, in some ways, he's had problems. It's partly because he's playing point guard, It's a more detailed kind of job that's more team oriented. And in some ways, he needs to go in the fire of 905 to learn how to throw together a crew of ragamatag team of people like Charlie Brown and Kenny Chandler and get them on the same page and try and herd them, those puppies, all into the same group and doing the same thing. And that's a really good development path for a point guard, is to go to the G League and have your own show, run it down there. We know Fred VanVleet, it was very, very crucial and important to his early development, getting his G League floor general reps. So I'd say Jamal needs to be down there for sure. And I'd even say Jacoby probably needs to be down there more than Jamison and Jonathan. And it's partly because Jacoby was behind this whole season with missing training camp and a lot of injuries already this year. Meanwhile, Jonathan and Jameson are up to speed. So I that's the way I'm looking at it right now as far as like where they're at. Most saying JMO, amazing night. Yeah, amazing day for Jonathan. Good games in both games. Let's see. All right, we got a new name in the chat. Let's see. This is hang on, I don't want to skip it over. We got 444.5. Good morning to you. And welcome to the Raptor Freak Chat. We're here every morning talking live Raptors stuff. And we're reacting to 2 Raptor games yesterday. Raptors 905 routing the Greensboro Swarm in the morning, and then getting routed by the Oklahoma City Thunder in the main squad later. He's saying, did that performance raise a red flag or a green flag? This is the funny thing. This season is going to be a really weird season to people that really value the capture the flag sweepstakes. I'm not in them. But personally, the Raptor Freak does not condone tanking. And personally, the Raptor Freak does not believe that a number 1 pick will save teams. I don't believe that NBA is existing anymore. That we see with guys like Sar and Rissacker, we see with even Wembayama in the last couple of years, that number 1 picks are not having huge impacts and changing teams' fortunes immediately like they used to. It used to be you could draft LeBron James or a Shaquille O'Neal, and they made an immediate impact. It's not like that anymore. There's not guys coming in. Even Victor, if he's the most heralded number 1 pick, I don't give a shit who Cooper Flag is. I don't believe the hype because I heard the Victor hype before, and I see where Victor's at right now. Sure, long term, Victor Wembanyama is going to be amazing over time. I think the Raptors will get a top 10 pick or maybe a top 15 pick by the end of the year, depending on how well they do, and I'm going to be fine with it. So, yeah, did we raise a red flag or a green flag? Well, some people will be mad that we lost because they're competitive. And in some ways, I'm more like that. But I also understand it's the Western Conference top team, and they're kicking everybody's ass. They barely played the East, as the broadcast said last night, and they're 4-0 against the Eastern Conference teams. But they've played mostly Western teams that are tougher, as evidenced by the records on both the conferences. The Eastern Conference is weaker than the West, and the Thunder are top dog over there. So in some ways, there's no slouch in losing to that team last night. No. Green flag? Yeah, I guess we went one step towards Cooper Flag more because we did get routed last night. But let's not get it twisted. This team's trying to win every single game, and we're going to go win more games. And it may be much to the chagrin of capture the flag enthusiasts that we're going to win more than we lose at a certain point this season. And some people would be like, whoa, what's the plan? Are you flipping the script? I did not expect this. I thought we were supposed to be losing to get a higher draft pick. Well, stop. We're supposed to be winning no matter what. It's just that sometimes we just don't win because we're not ready to win as a young rebuilding team. So 44 points. Welcome. And I hope I see more comments from you and see you on more days too. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Trevor's saying, all right, Trevor, I don't want you to bring this up. In some ways, I put that on the ban list because I don't want to talk about this. So I brought this up a little bit at the end of the chat yesterday. And we're not going to do this. In some ways, we don't cover that guy because he wants attention, and I don't want to feed attention to him. So he doesn't exist right now. So I'm going to skip your comment. I covered this slightly yesterday when Jimmy brought it up. And in some ways, Trevor, you got to pay attention to the streams. You're bringing up subjects that I already cover. And I don't want to repeat myself. This is not a rerun. This isn't what's happening, Trevor. And I'm not doing reruns no more, Shirley. So stop doing either. I get it. You want to talk about this for a second? I'll say it's a ridiculous idea. There's so many different forces out there that will stop it because international laws, international things about sovereignty. I mean, you got to start getting a UK involved in this if it's like this. There's a lot of different things that will hold this up. Now, there's a lot. It's just a stupid idea, and it's not like this guy's king of the world that he can just do shit like this. Either way, I don't want to give it any attention. The more attention you give it, the more it's happy, and that's what this is. They're little attention whores. Those fuck faces that won the election down there. And if I don't have to talk about this guy, don't put the little don't try and get around my banned words list by putting a little period in front of his name. Don't do that, Trevor. Seriously, you're gonna piss me off. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete that comment. And I'm hoping you will never ever bring him up again because we're not doing this anymore. I may talk politics from time to time, but that will be by my choice. And it'll be because it's something that's pertinent to talk about. But otherwise, I don't give a shit about the sideshow that happened now. In some ways, I'm not going to talk about Elon or Donald, okay? Because I don't give a shit about what they're doing. The less attention, they just want attention. They just want to feel important. And in some ways, I live in Canada. I live in the woods. I don't have nothing to do with those guys, and I don't want to talk about them, okay? Nako's saying, love Jomo, Grady, and RJ. OKC look tough. Good morning to you, Gerald. Good to see you, man. And let's see. Let's go ahead and do more of the box score since you brought it up. Bruno Fernando, not a good start. 19 minutes, 2 of 2 from the field, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 3 turnovers, 4 points. Yeah, he just wasn't connecting exactly right. There was some turnovers early. I did like the rebounds. I did like him like battling with Hartenstein like equally as far as physical presence. And that's why Bruno's valuable is because after Yak's not there, who's going to be the big man that's going to kind of throw weight around in the middle? Well, it's Bruno Fernando. I thought they might start Scott at center last night when I heard Yak was going to be out due to illness. And I was fully expecting Scotty to play center on defense and point guard on offense last night. But they didn't want to do that. And I think that there may part of the factor was the Giants of Africa night, that in some ways it's kind of cool to start Bruno Fernando in a Giants of Africa game because he's from Angola. Also, I thought maybe in some ways it's the Raptors saying, yeah, we value Bruno. We're going to start him, Brandon Carlson, that we value him like that. But he was a flop. He was a flop in the game. And also, the Giants of Africa game was weird because it really didn't go all out with making it overtly Giants of Africa. In past years, we've had a lot of more invested in the Giants of Africa night as far as the festivities, the look of the arena, the everything. In some ways, it was a very muted, watered down Giants of Africa that I was shocked to see. In fact, I thought we were going to celebrate Dikembe Mutombo last night, but we didn't. We didn't. I don't think they mentioned him hardly at all last night. And I thought that was part of things. Maybe it was just that I was misunderstood and that Giants of Africa recognized Dikembe Mutombo with their clip earlier this year, and that's what they were going to do. But I was under the impression that it wasn't just a night to celebrate Nelson Mandela, but they wanted to literally celebrate a literal Giant of Africa, Dikembe Mutombo, in the year that he passed. So I was confused about that. I was very confused about that. Scotty Barnes had an off night last night. In some ways, he was kind of cool, though. In some ways, he was active. He was doing stuff, but in some ways, it just wasn't meeting the challenge of his rivals. All right, Eye of the Tiger. In some ways, the challenge of your rivals is SGA, my guy. And I know in some ways you guys see him and you're like, wow, SGA is so good. And you're also kind of like, you got to figure it out. In some ways, this is the kind of stuff where Michael Jordan would look across and see Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller look across and see Michael Jordan. And they amp their game up just because they want to come at each other and give each other the best. And those games were classics because of that. So in some ways, Scotty, I want to get to the point where your confidence and the way you look at the game, the way you're able to direct yourself and do things on the court, you get in these marquee matchups like Vince against Kobe in the early 2000s. I want to see you have an SGA versus Scotty matchup where you're going toe-to-toe with him, like Vince Carter versus Allen Iverson in the playoffs for 50. I'm just saying, at some point, you're going to have to evolve to this point where you take the mantle of superstar against the best superstar on the other side, and you make it a one-on-one matchup, even though it's a team game. As far as like, whoa, Michael versus Reggie, yeah, that kind of stuff is important. So Scotty, 31 minutes, 5 of 13. He did not shoot the best. 2 of 7 from 3. I like to see some of the threes that went in. 12 rebounds. It was fantastic. Scotty really was on the rebounds. In fact, there was one where he was falling out of bounds. He directed the ball to J-Mo right underneath the basket, and J-Mo got an easy dunk because of that. So J-Mo's really good with catching the ball with his hands and throwing it down right underneath the basket with people pushing him around. He's really, really good at that. But yeah, Scotty was looking out for him. 8 assists for Scott, 2 blocks, 4 turnovers, 12 points. Yeah, 12 points, 12 rebounds, double-double, only 2 assists shy of a triple-double. But still, Scott, we need you to score more. In some ways, we need you to take the team on your broad shoulders and carry us at times. And, some of the opportunities there, maybe 13 shots isn't enough, man. No, maybe not. RJ Barrett, similar kind of Scotty, but a little bit better. A little bit better. Both of them were a little subdued, especially in the first half. They had a hard time getting going. RJ opened things up a little bit better for him in the second half. I think that in some ways that really was RJ versus SGA matchup because of Team Canada and all the love between them on that. I'm sure there's a lot of smack talk. I'm sure that they do a lot of like talking trash as far as like when we play each other, I'm going to get you in the NBA. But they love each other. They're teammates and they've had success together on Team Canada. That it's a very fun, friendly rivalry. Like everything that happened out on the court last night on Scotiabank Arena, if it was physical and people were falling on each other or anything, it was all love, whether it was Lou Getz Dort or SGA. The connections and the bonds between some of the people on these teams, like Kelly Olynyk and RJ Barrett with SGA and Lou Dort, are there. Like Lou Dort and Chris Boucher, they're best friends from Montreal. So they're going to be fighting each other for loose balls on the court, and it's a little bit physical and maybe looks a little antagonistic. Don't get it twisted. These guys are tight, and they're friends, and that's just how it is. But yeah, RJ was out there playing against some friends last night, and he wasn't as effective. 5 of 16 from the field, 1 of 7 from 3. He did make all 6 of his free throws, which made me proud. 11 rebounds for RJ, 17 points, so a double-double for him. 2 assists, 1 block, a minus 15. It's just not the RJ we're used to getting lately. And I want to say it really was the Oklahoma City defense early that stifled him and didn't let him get going early in the game to really start motoring our offense. In some ways, that was a big part of the difference right there. Ochai Agbaji, 22 minutes, 2 of 6 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 2 assists, 5 points for Ochai. A little quiet night for him, too. He did have that one really nice 3 that was so money. Alvin's saying that this guy's just becoming automatic. But kind of a quiet, subdued game for him. I'm sure he was expending a lot of energy trying to chase down people like SGA. And, the other guy on that team that did really well was Jalen Williams. That dude, in some ways, I have not seen a whole lot in this kind of way that we did yesterday. And I see why people tout him as being a real rising star because he is an all-purpose kind of player that is doing a lot of different good things out there at the same time. In some ways, he's got some Scotty in him because he's so multifaceted. Jalen Williams, the starter for the Thunder. Chris Boucher off the bench, 3 of 13. Not a good shooting night for him either. 0 of 3, 4 for 4 at the free throw line, 6 rebounds, including 4 offensive. 10 points for Chris, a minus 24, one of the worst plus minuses on the team. Garrett Temple got in for 3 minutes at the end of garbage time, no points. Davion Mitchell, 0 for 5, all threes attempts. And, that was kind of frustrating because they were really leaving Davion on the outside. And I know this is the kind of shit that's going to fuel the fire of he who shall not be named and his bullshit. A game like last night gives a dumbass all the fire in the world on his YouTube channel to diss Davion and bring him down. I mean, I get it. 0 for 5 is frustrating from 3. And especially since a lot of those threes he took were wide open and he needed to nail them. I get it. But not everybody's going to have an off night or an off day. Sometimes they're going to be on, but he's having an off night last night. 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 turnover, 5 fouls for Davion, 0 points. Jamal Shed also had an 0 for last night off the bench. He was 0 for 4, all threes also. So both those little short point guards could not hit threes last night. And that was a problem for the Raptors. But these guys are going to make them sometimes. I have more confidence in Jamal over long term, but we'll have to see. In some ways, it's too bad we didn't get any point production from the two point guards. 1 rebound, 2 assists, 1 turnover, 0 points for Shed. He had a better game for 905. And that's why I'm saying he probably needs to be down on 905 a little bit more. Jacoby, 2 of 8. He missed all 4 of his threes. So there you go. You got 0 for 13 from those 3 players from 3. Mitchell, Shed, and Walter, 0 for 13 from the three-pointer last night. 2 for 2 from the free throw line for Jacoby, 6 rebounds, including 3 offensive, 2 assists, minus 27 with 6 points. Jacoby had a couple of bright spots in the regular Raptors game, and he had bright spots in the 905 game too. Just little like things he does. Some of it has to do with his hands and him being very strong and getting balls. Like he's very good with getting 50-50 balls, loose balls, rebounds, and even stealing the ball from people. So I like those aspects about him. I want to speak highly and kind about him. Looking across, once again, SGA 11 and 22, 50% shooting, is 1 of 10 from 3, which thank God. 7 of 8 from the free throw line. SGA got the 3rd most points or something like that ever by a Canadian in our home court in Toronto. So he had one of the top 3 most highest points scored against the Raptors on a Raptors court last night. So that says something right there. 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks for SGA. 30 points, a plus 28, 30 points in 30 minutes. That guy's an MVP candidate for sure. Jalen Williams, as I mentioned before, 6 of 13, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 20 points for him. And Isaiah Joe was a real problem in the game early. He got their offense going good, and he was somebody we kept forgetting on the defense, and he'd get away from us. He's making really easy baskets at the beginning of the game, and that was a problem. In some ways, Grady Dick was not up to snuff on defense at the beginning of the game, and he was getting lost in different places. Kendrick Williams off the bench, 5 for 6 with 13 points. And also Aaron Wiggins had 12 points. A.J. Mitchell had 13. And Cason Wallace was a force out there defensively with steals and blocks, 3 steals and 3 blocks. Really annoying. We saw Alex Caruso come in and bomb a couple threes and just play as a steady guy, but he wasn't really even utilized in this game. And then, of course, Luguentz Dort, not the best shooting, but very active in the stats. 6 rebounds, 2 steals, 3 blocks, and a plus 7. Yeah, the Thunder are a good team. There's no slouch in losing to a team like them. That's the best team in the West. Like I said, one of the best teams in the West. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam. Happy Friday. I will no longer make fun of teams like the Lakers being routed. Yeah, I mean, why would you can make fun of the Lakers still getting routed. I think getting routed by the Miami Heat and seeing how we just beat the Miami Heat, yeah, you can make fun of them fiercely. You don't have to stop doing that. This is a different thing. Like I said, there may be like 3 or 4 teams in this league. They're absolutely top notch, and this is one of them. Oklahoma City, Cleveland, Boston are 3 of probably the 3 top-notch teams. We'll try and see what the other Western team is as far as top-notch. But I fully consider these teams to be probably in the conference finals that I'm naming here. So Oklahoma City is no slouch, and this is you can go ahead and make fun of them still. You can go ahead. It's fine. Nameless is saying, I thought there was certain ref manipulation happening, especially early. I didn't really see it. I mean, let me go look at the free throw attempts and see if it was egregiously in their favor. It wasn't. We got more free throw attempts than them. 20 free throws to their 17. I don't think it was that bad. Those refs are pretty good refs. Curtis Blair is a very upstanding ref. These dudes are actually a really good ref crew. Nate Green's a very good ref also for a young ref. And then, Trey Maddox, we've had him recently. He's the one that Scotty freaked out on and made fun of going the tech kind of thing. And I thought they were solid. I think that they handled things right. The challenge call was fine. I mean, there was nothing that I saw that made me think that they were directly controlling the game. So I can't agree with this, Nameless. The ref manipulation just didn't happen last night. The excellence of the coach and his plan from Oklahoma City is what happened last night. And the referees weren't really, if anything, they were giving us some home cooking again, where on 50-50 possession arrows where maybe the ball went out of bounds, it's ambiguous. Sometimes they were more favoring us, to be honest. This homestand so far has been like that. Miami, Indiana, and the game last night, the refs have been very much giving us home calls. Just so you know. Let's see. Fiercely saying Jakob's absence being felt. That is bigger issue than the ref any kind of ref manipulation. Jakob's absence showed last night. Like I said, we may have still lost with Yak in the lineup, but it would have been a very close game. It may have been a nail biter where we may have lost just because they had more experience in closing the game out, or a closer that did better with SGA. Now, getting routed, that's a sign that, we really need Jakob. In fact, It kind of reminded me a little bit of the end of last season when we didn't have Jakob for most of the last half of the season. And, what we're lacking. He's such an essential player. He is so important. And people need to realize this. And the impact of not having Jakob in the lineup was felt. And that's a big part of why it was a rout. It's not a rout if he's out there. He could probably help us stay in the game. Let's see. Mike saying open gym was really good. I like the reframing of the era. Really great stuff. Bargnani is a cool guy. He seems like a good person. That's why I've never really felt like it was fair Raptors fans making him the butt of a joke. I get it if other people in the NBA want to make fun of Bargnani as the number one pick. But Raptors fans, why are you making fun of Bargnani as the number one pick? Because he's our pick. He's a part of our history. He's the first ever number one pick by the Toronto Raptors in the history of the NBA. And in some ways, he didn't do anything wrong. He came to the league, he played for us, and he played very well. He played the way he was supposed to and with himself. So what if we didn't win? So what if he wasn't exactly the most amazing first pick in the draft ever? He was still a very quality player, and he had a very long career, over 10 years in this league, and he did average double-doubles in some of his seasons. And he was a shot blocking threat. He was a three-point shooter. He was a fantastic build. And honestly, a part of the reason why people diss Bargnani and say things about him is because he's had a void in his coloring book. Yeah, his coloring book was all empty with no color in it because he was stayed away from the media and he didn't fill in the blanks of us knowing him. He admitted it on the open gym that, yeah, y'all don't really know me much because I'm not good at media and I don't like talking. And well, he opened up and he showed some of himself in that. And you know what? He did such a good job. We know him a little bit better. Like you said, Mike, he seems like a cool guy. So why are we dumping on him? There's nothing wrong with what he did for us. We may have been a losing team at that time, but why would you just blame him? You could blame anybody from that time as a group, or even Brian Colangelo as the general manager. So I don't get it. The unnecessary putting down and saying Andre was a bust. Oh, what an embarrassment. I think that y'all are getting confused with Rafa Arujo. I think y'all are getting confused with a kid who came in here. I don't even remember his name. Rajakovic, not Rajakovic. It was something like that. It was Alex Radojevic. I think that y'all are getting confused with a couple of big white stiffs that the Raptors had in the 2000s. And Bargnani is not those guys. So just pause. Anybody who's dissing Bargnani or thinks Bargnani is a sad part of our history or a bust or somebody to be a disgrace, you think he is a disgrace, you're fucking stupid. And you don't know basketball because Bargnani was a badass. And he did a lot of good things for us. Bosch was our best player, sure. But Bargnani was our second best player at that time. And he needs to be remembered more fondly. Sure, you can remember him for Prima Pasta. It's hilarious. It's funny that he did that. But don't remember him as being a bust as a number one pick because he was not. We could go take a list of the history of the NBA number one picks in the history of the NBA, and we could find the busts. Trust me, Oluwakandi and all kinds of players like that from other teams that have been picked as number one that have absolutely been busts. We can even say our Canadian friend, Mr. Bennett, is a bust. But we can't say that Andrea Bargnani is a bust. It's not fair to him. And honestly, this way that he's shown love for our country and our city, that man's a bona fide 100% full-fledged, in good standing Raptors alumni. And I want to see him come to a game and get the praise at the game and shake. Maybe he's been too scared to do it because he hears all the stupid noise on social media of people putting him down, calling him Prosta Primavera, and not even giving him his due as a player for the career that he had. Honestly, the career that Andrea Bargnani had in the NBA, a lot of young basketball hoopers coming up would die for. So don't give me this crap that Andrea Bargnani is a blight or a black eye or a blemish on our Raptors history, because that's not the damn truth. No, it isn't. And Mike, you're right. I like the reframing of the era also, the European era, the era that we brought international into our team, and it took a higher percentage of what we're doing. And it lives on through people like Jakob Poeltl, Bruno Fernando, Darko Rajakovic, and our Canadian guys that play on our team currently. So, yeah, it was an awesome episode, Mike. I'm glad you caught it. Yeah, and all due respect to Andrea Bargnani, Raptors Nation. All due respect for Bargnani is what I'm saying right now. That's right. Smooth saying, why is Chris Bosch so anti-Raptors? considering 80% of his career is in Toronto. He didn't want to be for them. He's got 2 championship banners and rings that he got from them. He's in the Hall of Fame already. In some ways, he doesn't need what Vince needed here, because he had another team that he had a more impressive record with and winning with, even though he was more the man here than he was in Miami. He was a third banana, even a fourth banana sometimes for the Miami Heatles. And in some ways, yeah, he wants to go and concentrate on that. That's his choice. I don't know. Maybe he's one of these guys that was like always on our team. He was the franchise player, but he didn't really give a shit about it the whole time. He was just going through the motions and waiting for his exit to get out. It's fine. Most of his career and his great stats were accumulated in Toronto. That's the truth. In fact, Chris Bosh is near the top of a lot of our franchise lists for different stats. Thank God DeMar beat most of them. And Chris Bosh is not the franchise leader for anything at this point. He's like second or third on most of the lists at this point. But yeah, in some ways it is disappointing, but so be it. In some ways, I'm not trying to kiss my ex-wife's ass at this point or talk to her. So in some ways, I'm not going to try and kiss Chris Bosh's ass to try and come back and embrace his Raptor roots. So whatever. This is part of the reason why that number 4 never needs to go up like 15 just did, because he doesn't deserve it in some ways, because he doesn't honor his history with us. And he doesn't. I mean, I don't know if they asked him to be on there. Maybe they didn't. I can't say for sure. But if they did ask him and he said no, well, there you go. There you go. I mean, they treated it fairly. I felt like they made it very well known that Bosh was the man during that era. I love the story that Sam Mitchell told. Then he's saying like he came to back, and the players are saying Chris is going crazy in the locker room. He's cussing and throwing shit because we lost so much. And Sam's like, don't stop him. This is good. He cares. I mean, in some ways, he probably wondered about that with Bosh. Because in some ways, who knows how much Bosh did embrace being in Toronto. He did all kinds of corny shit, like his cowboy ad for like All-Star. There were things that Bosh was doing to be involved with the city. But in some ways, just like with LeBron, they became villains in their cities when they took off to South Beach. And in some ways, Bosh got the animosity that Carter got in certain ways. But it is what it is. In some ways, he was insulated from it because he was on the Heat, and they were a top team in the league, and they were kicking our ass every time he came back. So, and it wasn't him prominently like Vince was for the Nets. It was him as a second banana behind LeBron and Dwayne Wade. So, it's a tough, difficult thing. In some ways, this is why I warn people. And I said this a couple years ago before we did this for Vince. Vince, you can't shit on your Raptors history. You cannot ignore it. You cannot put it in the past and say, I don't want to ever embrace the Raptors nation again because of all the hate and the ops between us since the decision I made in 2004 to want to be traded and then got traded and everything in the fallout. Vince, your legacy is nothing without the Raptors chapter, because the dunking and everything you did of notoriety was in a Raptors jersey for the most part. Maybe a little bit with the Nets, but mostly with the Raptors. Bosh, in some ways, yeah, the bulk and the important part of his career with the Raptors is there, but there's a part with the Miami Heat that's more illustrious, and that's the part he embraces. It is what it is, Smooth. Bosh is Bosh. And in some ways, that's why I don't want to ever see a 14 Bosh in the stands. I want to see a 4 Barnes, not a 4 Bosh. I want to see a 4 Barnes up there. You see Jorge Garboza in that open gym episode wearing the 15. And that's another 15 in some ways I have more respect for than Vince Carter. I mean, they retired his jersey. Doesn't mean I have to fully fledged be 100% okay with Vince and apologizing and everything. We're better. And I like that he's more overtly embracing being a Raptors alumni at this point. And that's all part of healing and getting things right. But still, I have other 15 players that were on the Raptors like Amir Johnson and Jorge Garboza that I celebrate that 15 more. In fact, if Vince's face wasn't on that jersey, I'd be thinking that's Amir Johnson 15 jersey retirement, or even a Jorge Garboza. Because what did Garboza do? He broke his leg playing for us, and he still loves the Raptors to this day. And in some ways, I know Vince loves the Raptors more now, today, than he did 6 months ago. And that's great. The healing is good. But still, we don't forget. And Chris Bosh, well, you might want to forget his Raptors career. Well, we'll forget it with him. How about that? Wayne's saying the game was lost when both RJ and Scotty chose to take threes instead of getting people like Bruno touches. Wasn't expecting to win, but expected our stars to understand that teamwork wins games. Yes. I'm not going to disagree with Wayne on this point at all, but I will add this tangent. The part of the problem last night was Jakob's absence. In some ways, they tried to substitute Fernando for Jakob, and he just doesn't have the passing chops and connectivity that a Pirtle does. In some ways, it made you very much see just how much Jakob stirs the drink that the Raptors are on offense. And, getting off to a bad start last night was partly because we couldn't run through Bruno in the middle. We were trying to by default. In some ways, when we panic because the defense of the other team is really top notch and they're making it hard for us to work on offense, we will default to dumping it to Jakob in that little high post position. Well, we tried to do it with Bruno and we got getting turnovers, and it's just not the same. So I would say this, Wayne, a lot of what you're saying here is because Pirtle was out. A lot of what you're saying right here. He would just give so many other people on the team better scoring opportunities for all kinds of different reasons, whether it's passing off the cut, whether it's the screens. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that Jakob helps our offense. And in some ways, he's just like a worm in the ground, aerating the soil so that your plants can grow. That's what it is right there. Yeah. Most saying, I said thank you for what you do for the Raptors, and you bring the knowledge. You bring the knowledge, my passion. He wants to see more at Giants of Africa night. He said that you bring the passion that he wants to see more at the Giants of Africa night. Beautiful, beautiful. I mean, he's got to know who the legend Monique Lawrence is as far as the super fan. I'm telling you, it's obvious that Kimberly's probably talked about you indirectly to him at some point. I'm sure she has. I'm sure she has. I'm sure she has. That's such a beautiful thing to see. And thank you for thanking him. That's the same thing I did when I met him. I shook his hand. I said, thank you, Mr. Ujiri, for bringing up my favorite basketball team, my favorite team in the whole entire world, and bringing it back to excellence and respectability. And he hadn't even done it yet, really. He still was like it was his first year as our president. He had not been in charge for that long, and nothing was guaranteed. This was in 2014 when I thanked Ujiri, when I met him. And that's crazy to think, the journey and what he's done since. And I'm so glad he's still here and he's still in charge. And hopefully he'll continue to still be in charge. Man, Smith said, I mean, I never liked him, but his attitude is justifying why I feel the way I do. Yeah, Chris is a weird guy. TJ saying I was great to come and play with one of my best friends. You can see TJ Ford is embracing the Raptors alumni roots. In some ways, him and Chris are a little bit similar. They were around the same time period. And TJ was not a Raptor for very long. He was on our team for a couple years. I love that whole part with TJ Ford talking about him and Calderon, because like I said, that was a big issue at that time in our franchise, was who was going to start. Everybody was trying to make it a controversy in the paper. Jose versus TJ. And they called it Calderon Ford, Calder Ford. They started calling the backcourt Calder Ford. Because we had a two-headed monster for our backcourt, because we had two starting caliber point guards. And they were so not similar. Like Jose was such a John Stockton efficient, a very good assist to turnover ratio, high free throw percentage, very efficient player, so efficient and a prototypical point guard. And TJ was more flashy. TJ was more like, I'm going to do some skip to my Lou dribbles. I'm so quick. He was one of the fastest players in the league. And they gave two totally different looks as point guards for the Raptors. But that was a big part of the controversy. Yeah, I wish Chris could be a little bit more embracive. I just don't know how much he's actually come back and done this. Now, think about this. What if it's kind of like Vince, where it's like, all right, I don't know if we'll do anything for the 35th anniversary, but what if for the 40th anniversary, enough time has gone by and people are like, well, now maybe we should do Bosch. I don't know. I don't know if Bosch will ever get it done, but in some ways he does deserve it because he was a franchise player in our history. And he did accumulate a lot of stats on our team in our jersey. And it's too bad. Like, that's why it was always annoying to me. In some ways, it was hard for us to build culture for our team and build this history like we're doing this year, because two of the most prominent cornerstones of our history, Vince Carter and Chris Bosh, were not on good standings with us. And that still continues with Bosch to a degree, at least from what I can see, man. Mike's saying Brian Colangelo did come in and do some good work, and brought in Masai was the best move. Yeah, Colangelo, I don't look at him as one of the bad GMs that we've had. He drafted Jonas Valanciunas. He drafted DeMar DeRozan. He drafted Andrea Bagnani. He had some good hits. Him and Isaiah and Masai are probably the three best GMs we ever had. Glenn Grunwald's not bad too. But yeah, I don't diss Colangelo, and I kind of loved seeing him in this open gym because he's older and more weathered. And of course, the funny thing from Game of Zones that with the the caller and the bird, the ravens. Oh man, Brian Colangelo, him and his dad are very much important people in the NBA history. And you know what? I like that he once again said, coming to Toronto was, I left a winning organization to come to Toronto and do this job, but I wouldn't second guess it. I'd do it exactly the same way. And I like that. I like that by Brian. And I like that he's embracing his Raptor roots. Seriously, because he's somebody we forget about too. Derps is saying, why isn't Shamshay playing with Pirtle out? Shamshay's sick too. Both those guys have illnesses this week. Shamshay got sick this week. I think it partly has to do with coming back from Miami to come back to Canada, and it's snowing here. He went from like Miami South Beach weather, and he came back up here, and maybe he learned a lesson, as some Raptor rookies do, DeMar DeRozan, that you need to dress in layers when you come back to Toronto. You can't be running around in shirts and shorts, and that may have been the mistake that Shamshay made on Monday and Tuesday this week because he got sick, and he's been a scratch for 905 since then. So that's why Shamshay didn't play. He's ill. He had a sickness. Now, he was there last night wearing a very sweet jacket, but he was not present at the game for 905 and the other game for the Raptors because he was incapacitated from being ill. So that's the official reason. And that's also the reason why Yak was out last night. Just so you know, Derps. Let's see. Seymour saying Bish Bosh is a bitch. In some ways, I don't want to. I'm neutral on him. I don't really go after Bosh, but I don't really talk him up either. In some ways, I want to be cool with him. I was friends with him on Facebook. I was friends with him for pretty much the first couple of years of Facebook. Facebook came around in 2007. And for 2 years, I was Chris Bosh's Facebook friend in the very early on. And he defriended me when he went to Miami because he knew I was a huge Raptors fan. And I was always talking Raptors to him in messages and trying to encourage him and say things to him about winning and stuff and getting it out of the mud. And well, before he went to Miami, right before he announced the decision, he defriended me from Facebook, which was kind of crazy. When I saw that and then heard the news, it hurt. It hurt. And it was what it was. In some ways, I went through the Bosh thing at the same time as my divorce with my ex-wife. It was a very dark time because in some ways I felt like Chris Bosh was a part of the divorce in some ways because like he went to Miami and so did my wife. She went to Florida. Fiercely saying at Derps, I think he's not ready or maybe too green, but this time will come. I'm more wondering about Kelly. What's the timeline on his return? Well, it's definitely that Shamshay was sick. Yeah, guys, he was not well enough to play this week. And it's not a DMP for any other reason than that he would have played probably double duty yesterday, maybe not on the big squad. They're really waiting for him on the big squad. In some ways, we're not rushing Shamshay along. Now, he may not play on the main Raptors at all for most of this beginning part of the season, like the other rookies. He got his NBA debut already down, so he's played an NBA game. He's an NBA player. But sometimes, just like Marquise Noel, then you got to go to 905 for the rest of the year, and you may not get back up. Now, I'll predict this, that Shamshay will not play in the main Raptors for most of this year. But after playing for most of the 905 season and getting a lot of time down there, and he's a little bit more developed, we may see more of Shamshay on the main Raptors in the second half of the season, guys. I think that's what's going to happen. So, all in due time. Once again, he's 18 years old, y'all. And this kid has a lot of steps, baby steps, that he has to go through before y'all want so much for him. Okay? So give him some time. He's going to get there. Now, about Kelly, the thing with Kelly is he's practicing more and more, and I think he is actually coming close to coming back. That in some ways, the timelines that were told to me about a month ago would be that Emmanuel would be the last one to come back, and it would be about mid-December. So what is it? It's December the 6th. So that's like a week. So could it be that we're going to get a deluge of all of our injured players back in the next 7 days? That we'll hear Bruce Brown first, which we thought he'd already been back by now. We thought he was going to be back a week ago. And then we'll hear Kelly, and then all of a sudden, Emmanuel's back, and we got our full complement. And the 905 is got our rookies down there because we have all our main squad guys available. And in some ways, we want to continue to let them get playing time and getting a lot of quality out there. That may be what we have to do. So I think that's I think Kelly's very imminent actually, because what I've heard in the word on the street from the practices is that he is practicing pretty fully right now, and that he's he's conditioning. He's in the conditioning mode to get ready to be up to conditioning to be able to play an NBA level. So that's where he's kind of similar to Bruce right now. They're very much around the same place from what I hear right now. Yeah. Derps is saying, obviously he's green as can be, but it's OKC. No chance of winning, but whatever. Well, no, he was sick. Derps, just so you know, the only reason why Shamshay was not dressed he didn't play in the 905 game in the morning either. He's sick. He's not able to play physically right now. He's getting over an illness that he's had this week. He missed 2 905 games and any chance to play for the Raptors because of that. So that's the mystery solved right there. I was wondering why he wasn't available the other day, but Blake Murphy had said on Blue Sky that Shamshay is ill. He has an illness. That's what it is. Let's see. Stargate saying, good morning, Raptor Freak family. Open gym was very good. Good to see Garbo and Andrea are doing good. We know Jose is good. I know he has opened businesses in the States and doing well. Can you imagine Andrea now in this era? I know. That's what everybody's saying, that he was a time traveler. And he was just 10 years, maybe 15 years too early for the NBA career he could have had. Yeah, no, he was a badass. And we got to remember when Colangelo selected him number one, not only did we have Maurizio Garadini as one of our assistant GMs, who was Italian and very close with Andrea, and that was a big part of why we drafted him. But also, we drafted Andrea number one in the draft partly because of Dirk Nowitzki. Because Dirk Nowitzki had come along a couple of years before, and he was doing such amazing things as a big, tall German guy who could shoot threes. Forgive Brian Colangelo. They're thinking that he could have an Italian Dirk Nowitzki on our team because in some ways, well, there weren't a lot of guys that were close to Dirk Nowitzki in the league, but Andrea is closer than most. Let's just put it that way. A 6'10", 7-footer that can shoot threes like that. Yeah, that was very Dirk Nowitzki. So we need to remember that about Bargnani and the reasoning why he was the number one pick for the Raptors at that time. We had an Italian GM that was best friends with Bargnani and knew him intimately and knew he was very good and giving advice to Colangelo to draft him. And then also, Colangelo loved the idea of having our own European Nowitzki type on our team. But yeah, the game today is way more suited for Andrea's skills, and he would flourish in today's overemphasis on three-point shooting NBA. He would flourish right now. That's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Very good to see Garboza, and very good to see him so happy in his family life today. Very, very good to see him. Monique saying stars of the game for her for the 905. Kennedy Chandler, Disu, Kenny Chandler, Eugene Omaroi, Jameson, RJ, and Grady, and JMO, and Jameson again. Okay, so she put Jameson for both games, just like me. Yeah, I thought Battle was good in both games in the double duty for sure. Mike's saying Sam Mitchell is in love with Bosch still, I think, laugh out loud. No, I don't know if that's true. I mean, Sam Mitchell is weird, man. He's a weird guy. We know him more and more over time, and he's feisty. I have more respect today than I did for Sam 2 years ago. That's for sure. In some ways, he's come correct and just been Sam. And in some ways, he's actually, more fair to the Raptors than he used to be. Maybe he's heard us. Maybe he's heard us saying, stop turncoating and putting us down on U.S. television on NBA TV all the time. We can see you on there too, Sam. And when you come up to TSN, we're like, nah, we don't want you on the broadcast. No, he's gotten more of my good books in this past year or so. Part of it is his feistiness with that Chris Myers guy on NBA TV. Part of it is just him being him as far as being off the chain and just his opinions and stuff like that. So it's kind of fun to see Sam Mitchell in coach era of the Raptors with his high flat top and his mustache and him talking to the team and talking about things. I thought it was cool that Sam said the most successful team I ever coached in the NBA was mostly European. I don't think he kisses Bosch's ass as much as you think, but also Sam Mitchell understands the guys that got him some success, he needs to respect. And that's why part of the reason why he's very respectful towards Vince Carter also, even though Vince took off and ran out on him his first year coaching the Raptors. So it's an interesting situation. In some ways, he's a very ensconced NBA person in NBA TV, and he doesn't want to burn bridges with people. That's part of it. Nako saying probably could have thrown Shamshay near the end, dunk him in the deep, and I don't know. You need to. He's sick, y'all. That's why he's on the injury list as illness. So he's day to day. Him and DJ Carton are both day to day. DJ Carton's ankle is still messing with him, and Shamshay is ill once again. He's been ill for 3 days now, and as scratched from both teams. Let's see. Mike saying without Pirtle, we're not the same team at the moment for sure. He's such an anchor and calling defensive sets and organizing the D was an issue as last night. Yes, that's something I totally noticed too. That Pirtle is very much important for organizing things. We look way more disorganized without him out there. In some ways, he's the like I said, the straw that stirs the drink to make us effective and efficient. And Rick Carlisle isn't like just blowing smoke up his ass, saying that Jakob is one of the best players in the league right now. In some ways, he really is. It's one of the best in the league in some ways right now. Yeah, Stargate saying, as for the game, look, the Raptors were outclassed. Simple. That OKC team is beating very good Western Conference teams badly. So last night's outcome was not unexpected learning experiences. That's why this season's so fun for me, because I have no expectations going to any one of the 82 games. We go in and we do whatever we do, and we react to it afterwards. But I'm not coming into the game being like, we have to win, we have to win, we have to win. No, let's go in and see a test like Oklahoma City and see how well we do and gauge ourselves and where we are with our progress in the rebuild. That's the thing we're doing right now. There's no slouch in having what happened last night. Sure, you would like the margin to be a little closer and shorter and smaller, but that's part of the progress. Maybe the time when we go to Oklahoma City and play them on their court this year, maybe we have a closer game, and that's part of showing development and growth in that. But yeah, Oklahoma City is who they are as advertised. A very, very good team in this league. They're no pretenders. In some ways, that's part of why I like to see all the teams once, and then I can really gauge, well, is this team really as much as the hype that they may be getting? Yeah, Oklahoma City's for real. They're for real, and they're a very good team. Very, very good team. No disrespect for our team, or like no insult to us losing the way we did last night. That's a good team. That's a compliment to them more than an insult to us. That's what I say right there. Learning experiences. Exactly. Invaluable. Our guys are so young, and they're getting to play against such high-level caliber talent already. This is going to really help them in the long run. Trust me. Nako saying IQ coming back is going to hit like a truck. Yeah. I mean, yesterday sucked. We got the great news that Gray is coming back, but Yaka was out. And I was like, that's too bad. It's too bad. I mean, I was thinking that, like I said, they're going to start Scotty at center and maybe start Grady with Jacoby and Oshai and RJ. RJ would have been really more the point guard, really. That would have been a weird lineup, would it? RJ, Scotty, Grady, Jacoby, and Oshai. Would that be a weird lineup, guys? I thought that was who he was going to start last night when I heard who was coming in going as far as the injury list. That's who I thought they were going to. Yeah, Nako 100%. That's right. Monique saying Toronto tempo. It will disappoint me for a while. I said yesterday, logo looks like the Pacers logo or the Suns logo. Yeah, the old classic Suns logo a little bit. I don't know. It's growing on me, Mo. I know that in some ways it's not good for us to kind of diss it and kick it while it's down. I want to help Teresa. I want to help Kilmer Group, and I want to help this WNBA team. And in some ways, there's been a lot of things that have happened that have been not the best so far with this team, and it sucks. But you know what? This is the way things are going to be. It's going to be part of the legend. Well, we're going to go ahead and go forward, and we're going to make the best out of it. So let it be known that December the 5th, 2024 was the day the Toronto Tempo were born, even though that probably wasn't the day they wanted to be born in some ways. That sucks. Some ways they probably wanted a date like in January. They didn't want to reveal this team in December. I know it. And in some ways if they revealed it just before Christmas now, in some ways people would be like, well, sell a bunch of merchandise before, but the merchandise isn't ready until the new year. And that it's disappointing. I feel bad more than I'm mad at them about the name. Sure, the name's a little generic. The name's they're gonna need a lot of help to make this attractive to people. But you know what? I'm on the team. I'm on Team Tempo, and I'm gonna celebrate this. I love Alvin saying that he likes the name and being very positive about it on the broadcast. I love the support from Matt and Alvin for the whole thing. and saying it looks cool. And, they're doing their part. And I appreciate that. In some ways, the announcers are the salespeople for the product of the NBA and the WNBA, and they need to sell. They need to sell. And that's what they were doing for Teresa and our tempo team. It's going to grow on you, Monique. Or eventually down the road, it'll be like, yeah, this team name's fine. It's new and it's weird right now. Yesterday, I was doing a lot of work to try. I was just saying it over and over in my head, and at certain points, I was like, you know what, this may really actually work. So I'm actually more into the name at this point. The logo, I'm still kind of like, yeah, we need to spruce this up. And I've also heard that the colors are blue and red, and not the wine and blue that we've seen so far. So I'm confused. So I'm not even sure if the logo that we're seeing right now is actually what the logo is going to look like, because the colors aren't right on it. So we may have to wait and see. Now, blue and red is a weird color scheme for our team. I don't understand that. That seems very American. I don't understand why y'all didn't just do white and red. Like, you want to make it Canada's team, and you're going to play games across Canada in different cities. We'll put them in red and white. Like, seriously, come on, let's not overthink this. If we're going to be Canada's team in the WNBA, why didn't you use the colors of our flag? Or is the WNBA telling you that you can't go nationalistic? Or maybe you want a different identity because you may be tied in too much with the national team, the women's national Canadian team. I could see that being part of the reason why they didn't want to go full on red and white. But I feel like that's a mistake, because in some ways, if you really want to get people and national people in Canada into it, go with those colors. Blue didn't belong on that jersey. I don't think it does. Randolph saying, blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. Invest in your tomorrow, though not promised, by being grateful for your today. There you go. This is very similar to what Trevor said to start the stream, that you'd be grateful to have another day and wake up. Well, Randolph's adding on top of it, invest in your tomorrow, though not promised, by being grateful for your today. In some ways, the gratefulness and the gratitude of today brings new horizons and opportunities in tomorrow. And that's fantastic. I thank you, Mr. Phillips, Mr. J, for your words of wisdom. And thank you, Mr. Routens, for your words of wisdom also, even though I don't see them. Get on Blue Sky, Leo, so I can read your great words of wisdom in the morning once again, because I have migrated away. I am not coming back to Elon's cesspool. And I hope you would come out there too, Leo, and come to the skies that are blue, called Blue Skies. That's right. Let's see. Stargate saying, in my opinion, when Yak is out, this is where Scotty should be a bit more of a post player and less of a point guard type. Only for a Yakless scenario. That sounds a little weird. Yakless. They tried to play the same without as they do with. Yeah, I can see exactly what Stargate's saying here, and that logically makes complete sense. In fact, I was hoping for that too. That's part of the reason why I thought they were going to start Scotty at center, and we're going to have a little bit like Magic Johnson in the finals against Boston Celtics when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is out. Yeah, why not? Scotty can play center kind of stuff, and in some ways, I wish he had done his best Pirtle impersonation last night. It's kind of like Darko. Why didn't you come up to Scotty and say, hey, Scotty, Jakob is not playing tonight. I want you to impersonate him. Act like you're him. Like, just go out there and mimic him. Just be like, I'm Jakob tonight, and do all the things Jakob would do. I wish he'd done that. In some ways, that would have been a fun assignment for Scott. You say, Yak's out. Can you be Yak for tonight? And he's like, oh, yeah, coach, that'd be fun. I like doing impersonations. So I'm going to do a basketball impersonation of Yak on the court, and I'm going to do all the things I see him do on the court and try and mimic it. You're right. He could have done this. That would have been really fun to watch, too. It'd be like, oh, Jakob is doing Scott. I mean, Scotty's doing Jakob. It'd be really cool to see. Stargate saying more of a Karl Malone type again, but again, only when Yak is absent. But again, that's on the coaches. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you do that exactly. In some ways, maybe that didn't occur to them. Maybe somebody will hear us. Maybe they'll say, yeah, why didn't we play Scott like Yak? I don't know. I'm with you on this. And that's funny that you compared Scotty to Karl Malone, because the shoulders and the body type are in the way they play is very similar in some ways. No, I've never actually thought about that. The Karl Malone comparison to Scotty and some of his post moves and his power moves, there's a lot in there. You're right. You're right. I'm going to give you a dunk, Stargate, for bringing up a comparison that I've never, ever thought before. Maybe it's because I don't try to think about Karl Malone at all at this point in my life. But yeah, that is a very good point. 118. You got 5-pointer for that one. That was pretty good. All right, let's see. Wayne saying the Thunder positioning is high IQ. They situate to get those long rebounds from the shooters. Rebound matrix tells how the game was won. Yeah, all right, let's go do the team stats real quick, and we'll talk about how that what we're talking about right here. They got way more shot attempts than us. They ended up getting 12 more field goal attempts than us, and they shot better than us too. That's the route right there. 48 from the field, 48%, and 36% from the field for us. We did not shoot well in a lot of areas, although we did shoot well at the free throw line, 85% at the free throw line. We shot 24% from three, and they shot 36%. In fact, they shot better from three-point range than we shot from field goal range overall. They shot 36% from three, and we shot 35.6% from field goal. So, that's a sign right there. The free throws, like I said, we didn't get screwed on free throws by the refs. We got 20 attempts and they got 17, and we made 17 free throws and they only made 14. So both teams missed 3 free throws. So the free throws were pretty even. We actually led them a little bit. Now, this is a category that we should have won, is the rebounds, because in some ways that's an area where we missed yak. We would have probably won the rebound battle in that case. Now, some of it was, I was noticing that Chris and Jonathan and Scotty and the guys were a little bit out of position on rebounds, and that the Thunder were a little bit more keyed in. And this is what I think that the commenter is saying about the matrix of the rebounds, that in some ways, the way the ball was bouncing off the rim and the backboard, the Raptors were not keying in on it and zoning them down like the Thunder were, whether it was Hartenstein, Dort, or Williams or whatever. There was a lot of that stuff going on where they were hunting it down and zeroing in on the rebounds, and they beat us in the rebound battle, 55-51. And that was a big part. 28 assists for the Thunder, 24 for us. They had 15 steals, and that's crazy. That's Lou Getz. That's SGA. That's just them being opportunists and dogged defense, very confident, very aggressive, and not letting up. There's no mercy in that Oklahoma City team. Some teams that are top will go against a team like the Raptors and see, they're pushover right now, we can beat them, and they'll let up. But that wasn't the case for the Thunder. They were full tilt the whole time, and that shows their professionalism right there, honestly. Yeah, 15 steals and 11 blocks for their team. The stocks were out of the question, a big part of what they were doing really well yesterday. Turnovers, 20 for us, 6 for them. There, that tells you this game right there. We couldn't get in the fast break either, and that was hurting us. Alvin was calling it out. The Raptors would do better if we weren't in half-court offense all the time. We really struggled when the half-court offense had to be run. We were not getting the screens and cuts and the picks because Jakob wasn't there. And in some ways, the times that we did the best in the game were when it was a high-tempo, fast break, full-court kind of thing happening and catching them on their heels. That was where we were finding opportunities. But once the defense was set, the Thunder had our number, and we were not able to operate on offense. And that was a big problem. So fast break points, 29 for them. They were getting them off turnovers, and only 15 points for us on the fast break. So good job by Coach Dagnall at recognizing limiting the Raptors on fast break is a key to the victory for the Thunder. The points of the paint, 56-40 for the Thunder. That's another area where Yak would help immensely. So, yeah, there's a lot there that tells you the autopsy of the loss and why we lost yesterday. Good observation, Wayne, and it is evidenced in the box score for sure. I'm going to give you a dunk for a high-quality comment, bringing up a very important part of why we lost right there. 160, 5-pointer for Wayne this morning. Let's see. Kaz is here. Good morning, y'all. Good morning, Trucker Kaz. 10-4, good buddy. Hope you're out there having a good day. TGIF, my friend. And yeah, one more day out on the road, and then you'll have the weekend off, my guy. And hopefully, maybe you can come and see me on Sunday at the Raptors 905 Westchester Knicks game, 2 o'clock, Paramount Fine Food Center, Raptor Freak Hangout. We're going to the 905 game this weekend, and I'll be there in person, and hopefully other people can come down there and say hello and come into the game and enjoy a 905 game at the Paramount 5 Food Center. It's going to be fantastic. And I hope as many Raptor Freaks can come down there. You don't have to RSVP, but if you can tell me you're coming in the chat, that'd be fantastic. And otherwise, just show up and be there. And you can look for me, since you know what I look like, and say, hey, there's Lex. And come up and say, introduce yourself. If I've never met you before from one of the meet and greets before. Monique will be down there, and so will Adriana will be there with me also. So hopefully more of you guys can come also. and be at the game with us. We watch it. Watch it. That's right. Stargate saying, man, I love SGA's game. So poised and under control. And he's not afraid of the mid-range jump shot. No, he's not at all. In fact, he may be one of those people like DeMar DeRozan that is very much, we're going to keep this part of the NBA alive. Stat heads, analytic heads, beware. Y'all may be telling people not to do mid-range anymore, but there's a couple of players that are like Knights Templar guarding the sanctity of the mid-range in the NBA game. And there are people like DeMar DeRozan and SGA that are doing that. I mean, it's just so good. In some ways, there's things about SGA. I know that Darko said recently that he feels like Anthony Edwards is the most like Michael Jordan that's in the current product. But there are things about SGA that are very Jordan-esque also. And some of that is the will to compete at the highest level with the highest talent and just doing amazing things on the court to score the basketball. And that is something that's very Jordan-esque. You know, SGA's got a lot of Jordan in him. The compete and the way that he gets up for games is very like MJ. Very much. He's not messing around. He's not pulling punches. He's coming at you and he's bringing his best. And I love that about him. Most saying, of course, we are going to root for the Toronto Tempo. I'm even following them early. That's right. They have a website already, official website. There's an Instagram page. Y'all go and follow and let's support this team. Regardless of how we feel about the logo and the name, it'll grow on us. We got to remember when the Raptors were announced, everybody was weird about it too. They really were. Some people were like, what the hell? You named this team Raptors? What the hell? There was exactly the same kind of reaction way, way back 30 years ago when this happened with this process for our NBA team too. So who knows? I mean, hopefully it'll grow on us and it'll be better. I think the potential growth with the Raptor name was better than this Tempo name, but who knows? The world building that they can do around the motif of Toronto Tempo, I want to see it first and see how they do this. Teresa's saying the tempo, the pulse. I get some of the things you're trying to say, the heartbeat. There's a heartbeat to the name Tempo. And in some ways, there's heart in that. And maybe that is where they're going to go with this, is really like think about the idea of rhythm. Really think about the idea of a slow tempo, a fast tempo, the tempo of people together and working in concert to make a basketball team win as 5 individuals on the court. You know, there's a lot there that can be mined. I want to see the mascot and see how goofy it is, because that may have a lot to do with how well they do with getting kids involved. We got to see what this Tempo mascot is going to be, man. We got to see what it is. Jimmy's saying, I saw within the first 5 possessions how important Yak is to our offense. He knows how to create space and get players going, and we missed his high post playmaking. It really showed for sure. Bruno Fernando is not a suitable replacement for everything that Yak does. He just isn't. It's not a knock on him. It's a compliment once again to Jakob and just how amazing he is as a center in the league. Sure, he can't shoot threes, but man, he can do so much everything else. He really can. Really, really can. Mike saying, Jimmy, facts. That's right, facts. And I'm glad you didn't say FAX. Facts. All right, let's keep going. All right, let's see. I was on Mike saying facts. Facts. Jimmy, facts. All right, why did it jump ahead? Okay, Andrew saying, morning, everyone. Don't get discouraged from the loss. What's really impressive to me is that this is the first time we've been blown out since the first game of the season. That's a great thing to say. I don't know if that's exactly true. I think there was one other blowout in between, but they have been limited. And considering our record, you know, this is kind of impressive that we've held it together in this very strong part of the schedule that's very difficult to deal with. Andrew, Rookie of the Year. Andrew, good to see you, my guy. And happy to see you this morning, man. My guy. That's right. Let's see the Instagram stories real quick. We got Davion showing highlights from the game last night. Some of his great defensive plays. It's too bad he missed all these shots. It's just too bad. There's somebody sitting at courtside. That's them sitting at courtside for the 905 game. Him and Scotty sitting at courtside there watching the 905 rout, the Greensboro Swarm. The Greensboro Swarm fans were very nice in the chat, and we're talking to them. Very gracious. Really good to see team. Nice happiness in the chat yesterday during 905 as far as like getting along with Greensboro Swarm fans and just, you know, you having respect. They came into that chat thinking they were going to kick our ass because of their record. They're 8-1, and they're absolutely one of the best teams in the G League right now. But I told them at the beginning of the game, this is not the normal 905. We've got our rookies down right now, and this is not the normal 905 crowd because we got a school day game, and the energy from them kids is going to be feeding this game, and you're going to see it. And especially since they filled the upper bowl this time too, Normally for a school day game, they filled the whole lower bowl and parts of the upper bowl. Not very much, but they filled the whole damn building last night. And in fact, the Raptors broke another record yesterday, other than the call-ups from the G League, 4 in one day playing double duty. We also broke the attendance record for the G League yesterday. 19,500 people at our G League game last night, yesterday. I'm telling you, we saw games where the 905 played against Capital City Go-Go and College Park Skyhawks where there were maybe a couple dozen people at those games. And they even had a rap superstar sitting at the half court for the Atlanta games. I'm just saying, listen to this. They had 24, 25, 30 people at some of these G League games earlier this season. And last night we had 19,500 people in the seats for our G League game yesterday. Broke the G League record for attendance yesterday, y'all. Ever. That's the biggest crowd that ever went to a G League game in the history of the G League. That it was yesterday at the school day game in Toronto at Scotiabank. Isn't that cool, man? I love that kind of stuff. When we show up, we have real fandom for our team. Seriously, we had almost 20,000 people at a G League game yesterday. Now, a lot of them were bussed in from a school, but still. I think that Davion really enjoys playing SGA and Lou Dort because on his Instagram stories, he's showing a lot of pictures of him against them from last night. You know, in some ways, the Cason Wallace and him were palling around before the game. In some ways, Cason Wallace and Davion Mitchell look like each other. Same kind of player build as far as their size. And it looks like they're very close friends from the way they were chumming around before the game started last night. But yeah, Davion's got some cool pictures. He wants people to DM him if you want to cop a silent ball, which is the weird bowling ball thing he's been carrying into games recently in the hallway. When he comes in, you see him carrying like it looks like a bowling ball. Well, it's a silent ball. And I'm not sure what it is, but he's saying if you want to buy one, you need to DM him. And you can get one. There's Teresa Resch on the breakfast television with Sid Cicero revealing the WNBA name of the Toronto Tempo. Yeah, and there she is with Savannah Hamilton on the broadcast last night on Sportsnet, explaining and talking about it. There's that really cool Roots jacket that she's got on. That's a badass jacket, honestly. In some ways, look, the logo may not look totally right, but the jacket looked good, definitely looked good. And, you know, we're going to figure this out. The 6 tines represent the 5 players and the crowd. The 6th man is the crowd. And they have that ad for the Tempo that they probably released a little early, and it wasn't totally exactly right. But yeah, who knows if this is actually our color scheme. Masai wearing the wine color in the interview during the game last night maybe was a nod towards the launch of the Toronto Tempo and helping support his good friend Teresa Resch and her new endeavor as the president of the WNBA team. So yeah, support was shown there. Let's see what else we got. I'm going to skip Yuta and Isaac Bonga. Jamal McGlure was involved in some charity yesterday. They did like the call in for the charity, and him and Jack Armstrong were there. Yeah, Jamal's been very active. He was at the game last night. He was sitting at courtside. I saw him in before the game hobnobbing with a lot of different people before the game. I think RJ and a few others. Yeah, Jay Nathan showing highlights from the game last night, and him playing double duty yesterday was pretty cool. There's Shamshay putting Kennedy Chandler's big dunk on blast from the game yesterday. Chandler had a very fantastic dunk in the game. It looked very reminiscent of the TJ Ford dunk in the Open Gym episode that we just saw. And it was really cool because at halftime, Lindsey Dunn brought him he was the halftime interview, and she had a replay right there. And she said, Kennedy, I want you to tell me about what you were thinking when you did this dunk. And she actually got the player to break down a very cool play in the interview. And I was like, why don't we do this more often? Like maybe in the press conference after the game, other than just the stat box sheet, could we have a little TV screen and the press can like show clips from the game to the players and say, hey, what was going on in this play when you made this amazing dunk or this shot? I guess they don't want to do that just in case there's a bad play and they're going to throw that in the player's face. That's probably why. But it would be interesting ingenuity to have player video review after the game in the press conference because the technology we have. And you say, oh, Grady, tell us about your thinking of this three-point shot and how you made space to make the shot over the Thunder. You know, stuff like that. Because they did that with Chandler during the 905 game yesterday. Lindsey Dunn asking him to go over a play that dunk he did. And it was kind of a cool clip to hear the player talk about the play, watching it in replay. So who knows, NBA? Maybe there's something there for that you might want to do. There's Shamshay coming in the game with his fit. He had an orange jacket on. It was pretty cool. Actually, a very, very cool jacket he's got on. Nice fit, Ulrich, coming in. And hopefully you're staying warm. That's what we want. Carlson hyping up the matchup between the Thunder and the Raptors. And they even put him on blast walking in with his denim on denim look. Yeah, he's asking what that fit looked like. And I'm like, Canadian tuxedo. Okay, weird. It's a weird look, Brendan. That's what I'm going to say. All right, DJ Carton putting Kennedy Chandler's dunk on blast on his Instagram. And also putting on blast one of the Oklahoma City Blue players, of Javante, I think. And then the Raptor has got Giants of Africa t-shirt on. That was really, other than the halftime performance, and that was it, the t-shirts. There was not a very big presence of Giants of Africa at the Giants of Africa game this year. It was very strange to me. Very, very strange. Because I expect the full on out. Understand the grind gear. Still on blast with Norman Powell on his Instagram. Check that out. Let's see. There's the highlights from the open gym recently on the Raptors regular Instagram. Really cool. Let's see. Is there anything else I want to look at? Dylan Disu celebrating his fantastic game on his Instagram. 26 points, 8 of 9 from 3. Fantastic. And there's a dinner he's eating afterwards. Grilled cheese for my little one. Okay, he has a friend with him. He's calling his little one, but it's a full-grown friend, and he's eating kid food. That's why he's making fun of him. I'm not even sure who that is. That's not one of the Raptors 905. Jamal Shedge saying celebrating somebody getting married. I don't know what happened there. And celebrating Dylan Disu for his great performance. SGA showing off his logo and some other stuff. Not really posting anything about Toronto right now. Cool. And then Slim Duck's doing his annual Slim Duck Foundation toy drive. So if you guys want to donate some toys to Slim Duck Foundation, they're doing good cause things like that. And let's see, Raptors 905. It's got Jacoby Walter on the image. There you go. Good win by them, 134-92. And also they're celebrating Arslan Jamil. He got named as a head coach of a new team. I'm not sure what the team is, but he just got a new head coaching job other than his assistant coaching job with the 905. So congratulations to Arslan Jamil for getting that promotion. And there's the Toronto Tempo on my Instagram feed with their new clips and stuff and explaining the team and then and what's going on. They're going to have to do a little back story on the reasoning behind the logo, and they have, and the different things that they're doing. But it looks like there's some apparel on that, and people are really excited about the Toronto Tempo come into existence. So we're with you. We're with you, Teresa, and let's go. I can't wait to see y'all play. I know I'm gonna have to because it's over a year from now. But yeah, there's your Instagram stories for this morning. Yeah, that's right. There you go. There you go. Seymour saying facts to Andrew. And Wayne saying, can any talk of Shamshay just chill? This channel knows he's not ready and won't be in the near term. Anyone with any sense of basic basketball knows he has no value to the senior team now. Stop it. Yeah, I mean, he could. We'll just put it that way, Wayne. But in some ways, it's garbage time. And it's also garbage plays, like where it's like he could be a good offensive rebounder putting it back. From what I've seen so far on 905, that he's capable to do at the main level. But the problem is right now, he still doesn't totally understand defensive rotations, and he's not totally right with his footwork. And if they get his footwork right and he understands more and more about defensive rotations and what he needs to do with concert with the other players that he's playing with, he'll be okay. But right now, he's still very much green. Very, very much green. I'm with Wayne. In some ways, everybody's so excited about it. They're just pushing Shamshay. But we need to let this cook and simmer for time. And I'm with him on this. That's right. Yeah, he needs time. Just like Jimmy's saying, he needs time. Trevor's saying, I was not at the stream yesterday. I didn't know you spoke about it. Yeah, Jimmy brought it up right at the end of the stream because, and it was probably after you left to go to the spa, because he's worried about it. And, because he's hearing a lot of people talking about it. Listen, this is not realistic, guys. It's just not realistic. It's coming from a madman, first of all, who talks from his ego. And he wants to do a whole lot of things in the next 4 years. But you know what? It doesn't mean he's going to be successful at them all. There's a lot of people that are going to be involved in the U.S. government that are going to resist him and not allow him to totally go totalitarian and be the dictator that he wishes he could be. And in some ways, there will be friction and all kinds of crazy things that'll be in the way of this happening. It's not realistic. I wouldn't worry about this. This is sensationalized kind of bullshit. And in some ways, if you polled the average Canadian across our country, would you want to join the United States? What do you think they're going to answer? What do you think they're going to answer? It's only dumbasses like a guy who's become the new he who shall not be named, who called me out in the stream yesterday, and I had it out with him, and I'm done with him. And I'm not going to mention him anymore. But it's only idiots like him that would be in on the idea that we should join the United States as the 51st state. Only brainwashed MAGA idiots would be backing this stuff. No, people don't think it's better to be like the states. No, up here. No, we don't. Most sane Canadians like our identity and our sovereignty, and we do not need to be involved with the United States. Trust me. Yeah. It's all good, Trevor. I don't know when people are in and out, but yeah, I cover a lot on this channel. I definitely do. And, often if it's timely and it's happened, I've covered it already. Whether it's a couple of things that you brought up that I'm like, yeah, I already talked about this. Usually I am talking about stuff. If it's over a day old, I've talked about it. Let's just put it that way. Sometimes there's stuff that's like 2 weeks old you're bringing me, and I'm like, dude, we did this like last month. You got to understand, I'm pretty thorough about catching everything and talking about it and opining on it, even with stupid stuff like this in politics, which is not something that I really want to cover anymore, honestly. If I covered everything that dumbass that's about to become president again next year is going to do down there, this stream, I'd hate doing the stream. So in some ways, I'm going to say, guys, let's not bring him up unless it's absolutely necessary that we have to. Because I don't want to do Trump updates every fucking day. I really, really don't. I could do them. I could be like, yeah, I'll teach you guys exactly all the messed up, crazy things that are going on in the States, but I don't want to put in the work for that. And honestly, I don't want to pay attention to the horror show either. I'd much rather live my life happy, watching basketball and caring about the things that I can care about up here and not paying attention to the shit show the United States is about to become. So that's the way I stand on it, Trevor. Just for future reference, anybody about politics, we're going to try and lessen the percentage of Raptor Freak stream that is talked about politically and keep it more on focus of the basketball. But I don't mind talking about it. And, it's free speech. And we do talk about things from time to time. It's not like I want to make rules and say we can't. It's just I want to water it down. And we're not going to talk about it hardly at all. Let's see. Seymour saying, I hope you had a great birthday, Trevor. Yeah, me too, man. I hope you had a fantastic birthday with your loved ones and just having the best things happen, man. That's what we want for you, Commissioner J. All the great things you do for us on the channel here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do the classic card on that note since Trevor's here. And 1023 with Jimmy's little uptick is the place where we are in the chat. Let me see. Let's see. Which one am I getting today? Let's see. Okay, yeah, we'll do this one. It's a pretty good one. All right, remember, full name answer, please. Don't half-ass it. If you do half-ass it, you may get Seagull. So go ahead and give me the full name. This is not too classic, but it is a player. Let's see who knows who this is just from looking at it real quick right now. Yeah, who is that? First name and last name, please, to get the points. This may not be that hard. We'll see if anybody can figure it out. It's a green jersey. It looks like somebody. There we go. Carlo knows who it is today. That's right. Carlo's on it. It's not Rudy Gobert. It's Tim Hardaway Jr. when he was on the Dallas Mavericks. Of course, now he's on Detroit Pistons at this point. But yeah, it's a Tim Hardaway card. Carlo JS is getting the classic card of the day. I'm going to say this is a 150. Maybe, I don't know, 150 or 100. Well, I don't know. I want to say, you know what, since it's Carlo, I'm going to go ahead and give him 150. Yeah. And David, thank you for posting the extended trivia standings. I know that Seymour Pape was wondering about where he was in the whole thing. And well, if you guys go look at the stream yesterday, there's a post of the top 20, I believe, on the Raptor Freak trivia right now. And you can see where you're at and see if you got ground to make up. Right now, Smooth Brown Man is number one. Reggie, you're kicking butt. And I know you told me your name's Reggie. So if in the long run, I might have to tell David to put Reggie on there instead of Smooth on there. Whatever you want to put on the plaque, if you do win this year, you need to tell me ahead of time. And I'll put whatever on the nameplate for the big trophy when it comes to that time. If you are indeed the leader at the end that is winning this championship for trivia this year. So, yeah, there you go. Tim Hardaway Jr. is the answer for today's classic card. Boom goes the dynamite. Mike's saying 30th year celebrations have drained the budget for the normal big nights in the arena. The VC night cost a lot, no doubt. They made some back, but it was made more for history of the team. Yeah, I don't know, like with the budgeting and things that they do, because it seems like there's all kinds of different things. They're getting funding. And yeah, the Vince stuff was all very expensive and very top notch. And maybe you're right, Mike, that the budgeting for in-game ops stuff was shifted a little bit.
Who knows? I mean, I'm just saying in the past, the Giants of Africa games were a much bigger affair and way more prominently that. In some ways, it was because of T-shirts. In some ways, it was because of the court. In some ways, it was because of dignitaries and ceremony. And in some ways, it just seemed a little subdued. But they did it, and they had it, and that's what matters. In some way, they had an event at Malvern in Toronto with the Giants of Africa recently, teaching young women play basketball. It was a great camp that they had last week, Masai being at it. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. And you're probably right. Wayne saying Bruno is Bruno, but I don't see him getting the necessary touches that help his game. Bruno is left to figure out how to help, and his skill set is limited if he doesn't get help from his teammates. Yeah, one of the things I've noticed with Scotty recently is Scotty's leaving guys on islands when they're in trouble. Scotty, you need to react and help people more. This has happened with Davion. This has happened with Jonathan. This has happened with Bruno. They're in trouble with the ball and they're getting swarmed by the other team's defenders. And you're standing there just watching them instead of trying to help them. There was a play last night where Davion was on the ground fighting for the ball, loose ball with a Thunder player, and it ended up being a jump ball between him and I forget who. It may have been Jalen Williams. And Scotty was right there, and he could have been helping Davion try to get the ball because he had it mostly, and he needed to pass it to someone. Scotty, please recognize more when you need to be help right away, jumping on it, because I've seen you leave Mobo in a double team hurt and like not able to get out of it. I've seen you not help out Bruno Fernando when he was in trouble also. And this is specifically for Scotty that I'm saying this. There's points like when Davion was on the floor fighting with the Thunder for that ball, you should have been up in there helping him get that ball out of there. And you just stood there with like a deer in headlights and just watched. Speaking of a deer in headlights, this is crazy. I hit a deer with my truck 2 nights ago, y'all. No lie. I was driving north of the zoo and a deer jumped out in front of me in the middle of the snowstorm, and I barely just tapped it. Thank God I have really good reflexes. And I hit the brakes and slowed down enough that I just kind of tapped its ass with the corner of my truck, and it was fine. It didn't fall down or anything, and it kept running. And I got out of the truck at the end, and the truck had no damage. But that was crazy. I got to remember, I'm living out in the woods now, and there may be some deer running across the street that I got to be vigilant to look out for because I literally hit a deer with my truck 2 nights ago. No harm, no foul. No damage to the truck, no damage to the deer. Full-grown buck, probably like a 6 or 8 point, something like that. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. It was so out of the blue. Some excitement bringing up deer all of a sudden. Anyway, let's keep going. That's off topic. This is a weird story there. Let's see. Stargate saying next game is against the Mavs. Raptors usually play them well, win or lose. We'll see. Yeah, the Mavs are different because they're so centric around their 2 top players, Kyrie and Luka, that, but they have a lot of good players around them. And they did go to the finals last year. I didn't think they were the best West team, though. This will be a good gauge. In some ways, I expect us to do better against the Mavericks. And we should be more competitive with them than the Thunder. Because in some ways, we got to test them. We got to see where they're at. Of course, we know Kyrie is a Raptor killer, and he's going to be playing at a high level. We know Luka is Luka. So it'll be a good test for our guys. And in some ways, maybe we match up better with them than we do matched up against the Thunder because of certain things. Maybe RJ can play better against this team than he can against the Thunder because in some ways, the Mavericks are a more offensive-minded team than defensive-minded in some ways. So maybe we have more room to make good things happen on our offense, especially in the half court. You get in a half court set with the Thunder defense, they're shutting you down because they are just like that. Maybe the Mavericks aren't exactly like that. I know the rookie last year, Lively, is a very active player that's all over the place. Lively, just like his name. But still, and they do have a little bit more shot blocking around that team all of a sudden since Porzingis left. So I don't know. We'll have to see. This is another great test to see against a top Western team, a team that is in the NBA Cup quarterfinals. And once again, we're playing 3 teams in a row that are all in the NBA Cup quarterfinals. So that says something that they're doing well right now. Oklahoma City, Dallas, and New York on Monday. New York. Yeah, this will be fun, the Mavs game. Carlos saying, good morning, Lex and fellow freaks. Okay, Oklahoma City was good, but it felt the Raptors got punched in the mouth and got razzled all game. Didn't play Raptors ball. They didn't let us. In some ways, they didn't let us. In some ways, once again, we just got to, it's not about denigrating our team. It's about complimenting the other team for excellence. And this is one of those situations. They play very high level and they deserve to win like they did last night. And the thing is, they could have let up when they knew that they had our number early in the game, but they didn't. They played the gas to the metal a whole time during the game, didn't let up. And that's why they routed us so bad. Because it's easy for a team to get lazy. They're working so hard and they're, oh, this team's not going to beat us. We could let up. And then boom, all of a sudden we're let back in the game. But no, they're very professional and they were cutthroat. And they were like, no, we're not letting the Raptors try and come back and get us. We're going to play all out the whole entire game. And that's basically how that happened like that. So I'm not upset about it. Name is saying, you know who also likes Bargnani? He who shall not be thought of. There's a lot of people that like Bargnani out there. I think that Bargnani, like I said, I think that he's getting mixed up with Radojevic and Arujo. That we've had a couple of tall, dark-haired 7-footers that were on our team in years, and they throw them in there. Alec Radojevic was an absolute bust, and so was Rafa Arujo. But yeah, Bargnani is not in their group, and that's part of why people get confused about how bad they think Andrea is. Seriously. Carlos saying, got to give Colangelo credit too. He started the groundwork for the chip. For sure. Now, not all of his pieces were there when we got to the chip. In fact, they traded the last few right before. So it really was Masai pretty much the whole roster kind of thing. Because DeMar and Jonas were the last two kind of Colangelo pieces. And they were gone in the last year right before the chip. So I don't know. In some ways, Colangelo did help us get in the baby steps away from the really, really bad years. We were starting to come up before Masai showed up. And then Masai really brought us all the way through after that with Casey and Lowry and DeRozan. Yeah, for sure. Smooth saying, Andrea Bargnani had 10 years in the NBA, qualifies for an NBA pension. Yeah, if he was so bad, why didn't he bust out in the first 5 years he was in the league? Let's talk about Markelle Fultz. Let's talk about different people like that bust out, that are top players, that are top draft picks. Some of these guys don't even make it to 5 years. So Andrea was in the league for 10 years. That's not a bust. I tell people that all the time. It's not a bust. If you're in the league for 10 years, you've had a good NBA career. That's above average, honestly. Wayne's saying we didn't beat ourselves, but we had no adjustment to their defensive stance. When our shots don't drop, playing a disciplined team, you do get blown out. Tape sessions should be very instructive. Yeah. I mean, they were very good at taking away the things that we can do well and that are easier for us to do. And we had to do harder stuff, and we did not adjust well. And honestly, it's a perfect storm. You don't have Jakob and you're playing Oklahoma City. This is what you get. Yeah. Most saying W stream, W vibes. Despite the outcome, Raptor Free Crew, strong forever. Keep at it always, Lex. Go Raptors for life. Thank you, Mo. Appreciate your support and you standing by me and being one of the best Raptor freaks out there and just being awesome. Such a great person all around. Mike saying Jose and Carbo were talking about the Raptors effect international. Like when we have a player from another country, the fans stay strong, stay a Raptors fan. The Spain connection is strong. Yeah. No, this is something that's been such a great byproduct of being an international team is we have global support. We really, really do. The Spurs have a lot of French support, obviously. Tony Parker, Boris Diaw, Victor Wembanyama. So there's a lot of concentration of San Antonio Spurs fans in the country of France at this point, obviously. Well, we've done this too. Spain obviously has an affinity for the Raptors with people like Jose, Jorge, and Marc Gasol in our history. Juancho Hernan-Gomez doesn't hurt. And why not Darko Rajakovic's Spanish coaching career and notoriety from that? Yeah, it's true. And that's a fantastic byproduct of being so international is we have a global scale. And in some ways, that's an advantage. I thought it was funny when Jose was talking about how the Raptors asked him, hey, do you think you could ask your friend Garboza to come play for us? He's like, oh, yeah, I love that. He's my buddy. I love him. And he's like, I just call him up and I say, hey, will you come to the NBA and play for us? It's so easy. It's like Colangelo said, Jose, could you talk to your friend Jorge Garboza and see if he can come in and play for the Raptors? Oh, sure, Brian. I love him. I love to do that. He's like, just calls him. He's like, hey, Jorge, the Raptors want you to play for them. Will you come over? Oh, yeah, I'm coming over, Jose. It's just like that. It's like the way they talk about it. It's because it was kind of like that. It really was. It's kind of like Jorge just got on a plane and flew over here. It's not like he was drafted. It's not like he was traded for. They basically, like, Jose got on the phone and said, Jorge, will you come play for the Raptors? And he said, yeah, I'll come. And he came. It's very unorthodox. And I remember at that time being very unorthodox. It's like, why are we bringing in this old Spanish guy? And it's like, wait a second. Oh, now I'm starting to see it. And Sam Mitchell was talking about how he was a Swiss Army knife. And that's what they were saying. Jose's like, this guy's going to be a Swiss Army knife for our team. He's going to do it all for us. And he really did. He really, really did. And that year was weird. And they captured it really well on the open gym. It was like Jorge's injury really was the whole futures of the Raptors that year. As soon as he went out with that leg injury, all our ability to go to the playoffs and do anything that year went out the window. And it's too bad. It's too bad. But yeah, like, I love how Garboza said too, like, our team was really good, but we didn't have enough time under our belts. And we were going against a team that just knew themselves better, and they outplayed us. And if we had been able to stay together as a nucleus for a couple years, this is what I'm saying, they could have really ran things because they were just instantly put together and they were getting success already with that Bosch, Bargnani, Calderon, Garboza team. And they really need more time. And Anthony Parker was part of it also. That's right. Yeah. So we're saying, honestly, Chris Bosh is forgotten in this city, man. Yeah. Well, in some ways, he didn't care about the ties here. In some ways, he was an active player. In some ways, he was an op. In some ways, he just doesn't respect his connections to our franchise. And it is what it is. So be it. In some ways, he loses for it the most, honestly. It's not like we lose for it. We have all kinds of players to celebrate, and we don't need Chris Bosh to celebrate. But he loses for it in some ways because a huge chunk of work, huge chunk of NBA minutes and scoring and all kinds of things he did because he was the number one dog on our team. And he did way better things for us in some ways than he ever did for the Miami Heat as an individual. And in some ways that's fine. If he doesn't want to honor that or look back on that or celebrate that with the Raptors franchise, that's his choice. But he loses out on that. Let's just get it right there. Yeah, facts. And Carlos saying, who is Chris Bosh? All right, you want a dunk? You want a dunk? You want a dunk? You got one, man. Who's Chris Bosh? Bosh. All right, yeah. He's that guy who looked like a Raptor. Let's see. All right, let's see. 94 is the 5-pointer for Carlo. You're at 94, man. One more year. You're our franchise year, first year. Let's see. Mike saying, same spot up shooter that played for the Heat. Laugh out loud. Yeah, he's some spot up shooter. He was a role player for the Miami Heat championship years. That's who he is. A role player. Carlos saying, didn't know that we plucked all those guys from Europe. Yeah, it was a really cool period of time. We had like Euro slow car, Marco Bellinelli. Yeah, we had a lot of international players coming through our team over those years, all in a row. And that's part of like the whole thing about drafting Jonas Valanciunas and then Jakob Poeltl is a tradition for the Raptors that we will draft European guys that some people don't know about. And that's perfectly fine. Now we've kind of gone towards drafting African guys that nobody knows about. But yeah, for a period of time from like 2007 to like really still up until now, a lot of Europeans have come through the Raptors team. A lot of Europeans. Roko Jukic. Yeah, we can name them. We start naming them all. They showed a lot of them in the footage in that. I love how they're showing everybody. In fact, they do the pre-hype video before the games right now, and they show a whole collage of Raptors past and present. And I love that they include Kawhi in it. I think that it's really important that Kawhi is represented as a Raptor, even if it's the 1 year and it's the championship year and it's the MVP and he left. But putting him in there is fantastic. I love that they throw him in the whole montage that they do before the games with all the different past Raptors they show. Oh my gosh, they show so many and they catch so many arrows. Y'all need to put Mike James in there though. I'll say that, Raptors. Y'all need to put Mike James and give him some shine too. You got to put him in there a little bit too. Let's see. Logical saying Brian Long callers from Game of Zones is funny. Yeah, Brian Long callers. Yeah, the Brian Colangelo part and like him tweeting him like from the burner. yeah, that's a good part. Carlos saying I want IQ to come back. I don't like seeing Point Scotty that much. Yeah, I don't even know if it's Point Scotty that's going on right now. It really is. They're kind of letting Davion and Jamal and even RJ in some ways. Even Jonathan is like the point more than Scotty is at times right now. It's weird. I do want IQ back soon too. Stargate said, I remember the Garbo injury. It was against the Celtics. I knew it was bad when I saw Jefferson's reaction. I also remember Al Horford hit in TJ Ford. Yeah, those are two very ugly, sad injuries that happened in Raptors history near each other in that around that period of time. TJ Ford's spinal column injury was so freaking scary. The way that he landed, there was some real doubt that he may have been paralyzed even. There was some worry that that man actually paralyzed on that play. Yeah, and the gruesomeness of Garbosa's injury is just like Sid Vicious and WCW landing off the top turnbuckle and breaking his leg right in half, like with an angle. That happened to Garbosa also. They did not show it on the screen, but when he fell, he broke that leg, it went to a side and like cracked like that way. And the way that Jose is holding his head as he's grimacing in so much pain is so loving and caring as a friend. It's just like he's just like holding him. He's like, it's going to be, oh man, this tragedy. But I like that Garbosa said that injury and the rehab and everything come back from it made him a better person. That's the right thing right there. Yeah, it was scary. Those moments were awful for Raptors fans at that time, traumatizing even to an extent. Because Garbosa, like I said, so much was tied up in our success that year, having him healthy, and him going out like that absolutely destroyed our season. Absolutely destroyed our season. We could have gone somewhere that year. There's a what if there. What if Garbosa didn't break his leg in the Celtics game? What could have been possible for that collection of Raptors that year and what they were doing? There's a real what if right there. Fiercely saying, glad Kelly is conditioning for real, for real. Somebody said Embiid has been ramping up to ramp up since the start of the season. You want to put a dig in on Embiid for no reason right there, Fiercely. Y'all right. You got my favor. 255. You got a 5-pointer for that one. That's right. I love that. That's so good. As we're saying, the logo has a 70s feel to it. Looks good to me. I think it's the stripped down version. And then it'll be fleshed out more and more. I hope, in some ways, I don't mind the colors they are right now. But also at the same time, the Toronto Tempo colors look maybe a little too much like the Golden State Valkyries colors right now with the purple. I don't know. They're saying it's red and blue. I'm still a little worried. And there may be a Toronto Tempo logo that's more the finished product that hasn't come out yet. And we're seeing the early prototypes right now. I have that feeling that may be true. Geared more to adults than kids. Yeah, I don't know. It is a very mature kind of corporate kind of logo. That's part of the thing I don't like about it too, is that T logo looks like it would be the logo for some sort of corporation that's like making multivitamins or something like that, or like a cable company's logo or something like that. That's the thing I don't like about it. It's a little too corporate. It's a little too like we're a big building in the country that's going to like make a product and we're trying to sell it to you kind of thing. That's kind of the turnoff of the Tempo logo is it's very like corporate. That's what it's the best word for. It's corporate. And I don't like that. I don't like corporate. The world's getting more and more corporate. I get it. The corporate overlords are flexing their muscles and going to make us all into dystopian work class. Okay, that's really what we want to celebrate? No, we don't. Fuck that shit. And well, a CEO got shot in the street yesterday. That's what I'll say right there. Not that I condone violence or anything, but these kind of incidents, in some ways, things have a way of working things out in life and humanity. And in some ways, things push come to shove, different things happen. Well, different things happen. Let's just put it that way. Greed gets its price at some point. It does. Let's keep going. Carlos saying, as for me, the name and the logo aren't as much as important. At least now we have a team that plays in the summertime. There you go. I love it. That's the right attitude. And I'm ready. Let's go, Tempo. Let's get that tempo up. Let's get that tempo. I'm ready for the tempo. Mike's saying blue and red makes purple. That's true. Maybe that's what they mean. It's like our colors are blue and red, but it's just that the color's purple. Mike, you want to dunk for silliness? There you go. Blue and red makes purple. That's why the color is purple. Our colors are blue and red, but I see purple. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Mike, you're so funny. That's smart. That's really smart. All right, 167. You got a 5-pointer, Mike. You got a 5-pointer. That's right. All right, let's keep going. Smith saying sometimes understated works better than outlandish, in my opinion. I think that if you give like a framework, a skeleton to it, and then you flesh it out with color and ideas, mascot, and like different theme nights, it could be very, very cool. In some ways, I don't know. I still think that in some ways, what is the tempo? What is the music, Teresa? Ask yourself that question. Is the music the city's pulse, the Toronto pulse of the traffic of the people, the fast-pacedness of the 416? What is the tempo? What is the music that you're setting in your mind to it? In some ways, you need to build that world and give us the music. Is it going to be a reggae music? Is it going to be an homage to a culture in our city that is a particular? Is that how you can tie it in specifically with Canadian culture? Because everybody's saying this is not a Canadian culture kind of motif that you're building here. This is not tied into Canadian culture or Canadiana. Toronto tempo? We want to hear more justification and maybe more explanation in the fleshing out of the world of the Toronto tempo. I want to hear what the tempo sounds like. What kind of music is it? What genre is it, Teresa? What genre is the tempo at? Is it just the genre of a basketball dribbling on a basketball court? That's the tempo we're hearing. Maybe there's a certain genre of music that will be identified with this team. I don't know. Well, that's something they may need to think about right there. Yeah, Andrew saying, I wish the tempo were going to get added next year and not 2026. I know. We missed the boat. Thank you, Ed Rogers, jerk. In some ways, we missed the boat because of him and MLSC's decision not to take the initial bid. Stargate saying the term tempo is used a lot by us in the Caribbean community, especially with the Caribbean music scene. So I'm wondering if this was something that the marketing team was gearing towards. That's what I'm hoping. I mean, I kind of alluded to it when we heard the name, that maybe they are giving an homage to the Caribbean roots of a lot of the people that live in Toronto, that there are a lot of people from the islands that live in Toronto, and that word and the idea of tempo and beat is very, very essential and important to having a good time. But also the beat is a heartbeat in your chest. The beat is also the beat of a basketball on the court. And that beat is something shared by 5 women that are going to take the jersey of the tempo and put it on. And that is symbolized by the 6 tines of the logo. The 5 women that take the court, and the 6th person is the fans, is what they're saying. That's right. Mike's saying Pirtle screens create a lot of separation in half-court sets and makes the defense have to change, or the space can be used to drive and score or pass. Yes, he's just giving them more breathing room away from the long arms of the very athletic and quick Thunder defenders. SGA is fantastic on the offensive end, obviously. He does things, like I said, that are Jordan-esque. But let's not get it twisted. This guy's a force on defense also. And he's such a nimble, quick, long-arm person that's smart. He's causing all kinds of problems on the defensive end just as much as the offensive end. And him and Dort are a deadly tag team duo as far as defensively. They're nasty. And Dort is Dort. Dort was out there doing Dort things. Dort was doing his Dort stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's my Dort. I love that guy. He's on Team Canada, and he does that stuff for his country when he puts on that red and white. So I can't get mad at our Canadian guys excelling on the Oklahoma City Thunder. I cannot at all. And they're a big part of it. Trust me. Jalen Williams has very long arms, and he's very active and just like a little bit bigger SGA in some ways as far as on defense. These guys are shit disturbers. And Hartenstein's been a great ad. He gave him some shot blocking last night and just a big physical presence and getting rebounds. So he's fitting in really nicely. And Caruso's a great ad too, as a bench veteran coming in and doing good stuff too, what he does. We know what Caruso does. That's right. Stargate saying DeMar, SGA, and yes, Grady are all not afraid of mid-range jump shots. That's right. And hopefully maybe that'll come back to a degree, and the going away from the mid-range and villainizing it in recent years will just stop. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. If you're not making your threes and they have packed the paint where you can't go inside, you need a mid-range to bust out of your offensive rut. That's just how Raptors have always been. Fiercely saying 19,000 attendees. That's amazing. Yeah, our G League game yesterday sold out the whole entire Scotiabank Arena. It was absolutely packed, like it was a Raptors game for the 905 yesterday. It's crazy. And it was mostly kids from elementary school all the way to high school getting good citizenship, perfect attendance, good grades. Well, you get to go to the game as a reward, little Johnny, and root for the Raptors. And y'all can be very, very loud in that arena yesterday. Very loud. Trevor's saying Garrett Temple on the Raptor show. Cool. He's on the Raptor show this morning. Yeah, he's probably going to do that regularly, kind of like Dennis did last year, right? Dennis was doing regular Raptor show, and then Garrett did it regular afterwards. Yeah, that's good. Blake Murphy, very helpful with his information, and he was even in the chat for a second with us in the Raptors in the 905 chat for just a second. Yeah, good to see good friends in the 905 chat yesterday. Awesome to see good friends. Like David was in the chat yesterday too. It was really cool to see David in the 905 chat. Let's see. Trevor's saying that Garrett's talking about what they can learn from Oklahoma City. Garrett's talking about that on Raptor Show. That's good stuff right there. Yeah, I don't know how you thought this was Rudy Gobert, Mike. I don't know how you thought that. I mean, you know what? Who I thought y'all were going to guess this was? I thought y'all were going to guess Jaylen Brown because it's kind of green and it looks a little bit like Jaylen Brown as far as things. But no, it's Tim Hardaway. I was like, Gobert? What? Come on now. Come on, man. Carlos saying, yeah, I didn't love Scotty's game last night. I want him to have a mode where it's needed. He could just take over and be aggressive. That's what I'm saying. That's the whole thing I'm talking about. Michael Jordan versus Reggie Miller. The matchup. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander versus Scotty Barnes will rise up and take that superstar versus to the challenge of your rivals out of the Tiger. Get in there and make a bigger game for yourself because you know you're going against one of the top level MVP candidates in the NBA right now. That's how you make a name for yourself. You go up against the best, you beat the best, you become the best, Ric Flair. Woo! You got to do that. So, Scott, next time you see it, like this Saturday, we're playing Luka and Kyrie. In some ways, you should be like, yeah, RJ and I are going to take Luka and Kyrie on 2-on-2 in a little mini set of this game, and our stats should be better than Doncic and Irving by the end of the game. That's in some ways something that some of these Raptors need to do is take individual matchups and try and beat their counterpart. And as the superstar of our team, Scotty, you and RJ should be taking the mantle to go against guys like Kyrie and Luka. So that's what we're talking about right there. I want to see you take over and be aggressive, just like SGA, and a counterbalance to compete with him. Mike's saying Brian made the Lowry trade. There you go. That's another good thing he did. He brought in Kyle Lowry in that point. Yeah. Mike's saying after Nash went to the Lakers, Steve chose the Lakers. Laugh out loud, not gonna lie. Well, Steve Nash personally told me he never played for the Raptors. He told me that in 2000. It was like, and by then it was like near the end of his career. And he was, he was always a West Coast guy. Steve never played for an Eastern Conference team. And that's because Steve Nash, he personally told me he's a West Coast guy. I was hanging out with him because he was dating my coworker at the Velvet Underground downtown. And he was coming into work after work and he'd just sit with me and we'd chat. And I asked Steve, I said, Steve, will you come play for the Raptors someday? Because I'd love to see the greatest Canadian player ever play for the Toronto Raptors. And he said, Lexi, I'm sorry, man, but that's probably never, ever going to happen. And I was like, whoa. And he's like, he told me why. He said, first of all, it's a lot of pressure being the Canadian guy on the Canadian team. And I don't know if I want it. And then second, I'm really not an East Coast guy. I don't like East Coast time zone. And in some ways, you know it because he only played for Phoenix, the Lakers, Dallas. So he only played in the Western Conference. He never played for an Eastern Conference team. And that's probably why. Now, another weird thing was he coached an Eastern Conference team, the Brooklyn Nets. And in some ways, I thought that was odd because let's just put it this way. Steve Nash lives on Pacific time. He doesn't live on Atlantic time. And in some ways, him being on Eastern time was not natural to him. And he was never probably an option for Brian Colangelo as much as they had a prior relationship being around Phoenix together. He probably was never an option because Steve probably wasn't even considering the Raptors, guys. Just so everybody knows this. I mean, he told me that, like I said, like almost 10 years before, he had told me he had decided he'd never want to play for the Raptors, really, that he had no interest in it. In some ways, that would have been an easy marketing thing and stuff like that. But he thought it wouldn't be good for his career in some ways because in some ways the Raptors weren't in the best shape because of Vince after 2004. And then also partly because like I said, there's a lot of pressure in some ways what RJ's doing right now, that he's the Canadian guy on the Canadian team. And maybe it's easier now that we won a championship. There's less pressure on him. But if Steve Nash had came to our team after a couple of MVPs with the Suns, think about where he'd be and in that position at that time with the Raptors franchise. So, yeah, that's what it is right there. Isaac's giving us a little fun fact here. 4.8 is the year's average in an NBA career. Yeah, you tell me Bargnani's not successful. So, Isaac, you're getting a dunk for information. There you go. You can get information dunks all over the place. 5-pointer for Isaac Campbell. He's at 225 now. 225 dunks for our guy in Ottawa, the benevolent one, Isaac Campbell. I love that. Wayne saying our teamwork for each other, however, we will go away from a monster player who's hot, a non-star player who's hot. When Oshai, Chris, or Jakob is hot, when we feed them, good things happen. OKC kept feeding Joe last night. Take note. Yeah, in some ways he's an afterthought. They got SGA and they got Jalen Williams. They have different people that are more on the worry list of like covering, and Isaiah Joe gets the spoils because he's an afterthought. And in some ways, he's a very useful offensive player because of that, because he can be very sneaky and make shots. He was an absolute factor getting the Thunder the early lead because he was getting very easy baskets because in some ways we were losing him. Yeah, that's totally true. Smooth saying Jose Calderon was a solid guard, man. I enjoyed him. He's one of the most efficient players to ever play in the NBA. His true shooting percentage was insane. He's one of the leaders in free throws every year, and his assist to turnover ratio was immaculate. Yeah, he was just one of the most efficient, perfect kind of players ever. And he didn't care. He didn't do too much more than he did any other place. And it's funny to hear Jose talk about how much he won in Spain, and then coming to the Raptors, he wasn't used to losing. And that was the hard thing, because he had lost barely any games his last year in Spain League. And then when he came to the Raptors as a rookie, they lost their first 10 games. And that was a weird adjustment for him. He's a winner and a very, very good basketball player that played at a very high level when he played for our team. In fact, he's somebody that I need to celebrate more on this channel more often. I don't know why I haven't done a Share Love Club for Jose Calderon. I don't know why I haven't done a Raptor Freak trivia on Jose. I don't think I've done him. I might have done a Jose trivia. I'm not totally sure. Either way, Jose needs more shine on my channel for sure. And I need to buy his book and read it. Honestly, family members, get me the Jose Calderon book if you want to get me something for Christmas. Get that for me. I need Jose's book that came out in the last year because I need to read it. And if you give me a Spanish version, I'll translate it. Jose won a ring. I know he was on the Cavs for a time. I'm pretty sure he did win a ring with the Cavs. That is exactly right. Let me just see. I'm going to make sure. We're going to look at his Wikipedia, and we'll make sure. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he did win one ring. No, he didn't actually. He did not win a ring. He's a champion over in Europe, but not in the NBA. He never did win a ring with Cleveland. He wasn't there the year they won the championship. No, he wasn't. So he's a Spanish Cup, Kings Cup winner in 2004. He's an All-Spanish League team in 2005. And he's an LEB Oro champion in 2000. So all his championships and stuff. And then he's a ton of Olympic stuff, obviously with Team Spain. He's won 2 silvers and a bronze in the Olympics playing for Spain. And he's won the FIBA World Cup in Japan in 2006, getting the gold. And they won Eurobasket in 2011. So he's got a lot of accomplishments, but they're all overseas. He didn't actually ever win an NBA championship. Yeah. Wayne saying Anthony Parker was a very intelligent player. Give him a share to love day, Lex. He was a high IQ for sure. He's another guy. I guess that period of the Raptors I ignore in some ways. I really shouldn't, though, because there are people like Garboza, Calderon, and Parker that I should put on blast more. Maybe even Jamario Moon. Yeah, I should. I should give Anthony more blast, too. Let's see. Smooth saying, I remember Steve Nash broke his leg when he was a Laker. Really unfortunate. Kobe and him clashed a lot, though. It was reported that their relationship was strained. Nash chose the Lakers to be close to his children. I remember that time very well. Yeah, his whole life is oriented around the West Coast. His parents, his family. Yeah. Yeah, that team was weird because the Lakers were trying to build a super team with Karl Malone, Steve Nash, and Shaq and Kobe, and it just didn't work. It really was a huge fail. Dwight Howard was involved in it too for a little bit there. Really, really bad team that did not do anything like they thought it would do. Gary Payton was there too. Yeah, that Lakers super team they tried to build was absolute fail when Steve Nash was around the Lakers. Absolute fail. That's right. Mike's saying ramping up to start ramping up. Yeah, I don't know what Joel's doing. Maybe he's out near the loading dock and he's running up the ramp up and down. And that's what he means when he said ramping up. I'm ramping up, guys. I'm outside. I'm going near where, oh, there's a truck backing up. Hang on. Beep, beep, beep. Oh, let me get out of the way. Okay, yeah. I'm ramping up, guys. I'm running up the ramp to ramp up. I don't know what he's doing, man. I don't know what he's doing, man. Smith saying Brian Colangelo left that meeting knowing that the Raptors had no chance getting him, immediately pivoted to Houston for Kyle Lowry. The rest is history. Yeah, I love that. I love that story. In some ways, that's such an awesome pivot. You know, Kyle Lowry instead of Steve Nash. Well, there you go. That was the right choice. That was the right choice. Smooth saying at the time, Kyle had a reputation as a coach killer. Kevin McHale, a Rockets coach, did not get along. I remember this. Yeah, Kyle and Kevin did not get along. And in some ways, a lot of what Kyle did with his career is a kind of an FU to some of the people early in his career that did not get along with him. And I ain't hating on that. It got us a championship. No, I'm not hating on that. That's right. Wayne saying, Lex, that question might lead you to where you don't want to go. What's the genre for the Toronto Tempo? In the city of Aubrey, what do you think? And in fact, he was at the game last night. We bringing him up. It's funny. Like, oh, man, this is crazy. I see Drake at courtside last night. And I'm kind of like, oh man, don't let him be on the broadcast. And then I'm realizing it's Sportsnet and it's Alvin Williams, and they don't often let Drake do the show on Sportsnet. It's often TSN with Jack that they'll bring him in, and he's talking to Jack Armstrong and Matt Devlin. Because I was like, I don't want Drake to be on the mic and do what he does sometimes for Raptors games right now. The thing that he did for the Vince Carter night was just really stupid and so dumb. And in some ways, he maybe should be suspended from being on the broadcast for a little while. And thankfully, they didn't put him on. In fact, they put Masai on instead, had him out there talking for a long time. It was awesome to hear from Masai, as always. And then Teresa Resch in her interview. But no Drake. And the game was such a blowout by halftime. Drake did not return after halftime to his seats in the third quarter. They had some other guys sitting there. Yeah, you might be right. Although I'm hoping that why can't we make it a reggae or a ska beat? Because that's the way you tie it in, Teresa. And I'll get it. You know, Drake has got amalgamation of different sounds from the past, and some say he's a Roomba, Roomba beat, you know, with Hotline Bling and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think that he will be that, although he is in the ownership group for the team. So who knows? I think that it'd be wise for the Toronto Tempo team to not utilize the global ambassador in their advertising, especially with this year with Kendrick Lamar. And maybe they could be very aggressive and say, no, the tempo for this team is a reggae tempo, not a Drake tempo. Not a Drake tempo. That, you know, who knows? We'll see. But yeah, thank you for not putting Drake on the broadcast last night, Sportsnet. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. And of course, we saw SGA dapping Drake at halftime. As soon as the first half was over, Shea walked over to him and was hanging out with him, hugging him and stuff like that. So, you know, Drake's showing up to see these Canadian guys like SGA. He's not showing up to see the Raptors. Although the Raptors have been winning at home more recently, it's a little more helpful for Drake to show up and not look embarrassed. But we still got routed, and he still left at halftime. And that's just how it goes. That's just how it goes. That's not a real one, by the way, Drake. Smooth saying, I feel for Kyle being in a bad situation in Philly, but he's at home, so whatever. It's a trade-off. It's a trade-off. In some ways, he gets the dream of playing for the Sixers, but it is a toxic situation, and it may be disheartening to see the things that his friend Nick Nurse is going through right now. But it is whatever it is. Kyle's had a fantastic career. He's successful no matter what. And I told everybody, I don't wish another championship for him in Philadelphia. Fuck that shit. He needs to keep it special with Toronto. If he was winning a championship in Miami before this, in some ways I didn't like that either, because I want his championship to be with us. And in some ways he may never win another one. And that won't make me upset, honestly. And I don't want Nick Nurse to ever win another one either, because it will water down ours. So in some ways I'm selfish in that way as a Raptors fan. I want success for them to a degree, not Nick, but Kyle for sure, but not to that point. No. Mischief saying Toronto Raptors versus Dallas Mavericks next game, Toronto. It's Saturday. Let's get this dub. I think Pirtle should be back for Saturday. Yeah, hopefully. It's an illness. It means it's like he's sick. He just wasn't able to play physically because he's sick. He's not hurt. So it's not an injury that's put him out. So maybe he does only miss one game and he's available for tomorrow. I hope that's true, base man. I really do. Mike saying the bread and haircut, the bald thing had me guessing it's senior. That's blad though. Oh, you're talking about it's bald though. You're talking about the for the card that you thought it was Rudy Gobert. You're giving me explanation. Okay, Mike, I got you. Mischief's got my next cut off. I'm at 243. We'll do a little bit of Lexathon. Let's see. Race Mode's saying, hey, Lex and fam, I've been sticking to only watching recorded winning Raptors games lately. Made the mistake of tuning into the game live. I think I might need to hand in my fan badge after this one. This is not you, Edmund. I know that we all want to think we have more importance in what we do to affect the team than that. This is part of the reason why I may do really weird, like OCD things, like knock on wood 7 times, or like work out a certain level, which I do, or eat Osmos before the game. We do not affect what happens on the court. Just let's not get it twisted. So don't feel like you don't need to watch. Seriously, it's not you, man. In some ways, if you watch the game and you saw a rout, well, that's because the Oklahoma City Thunder is really, really good, and that's the only reason. Trust me. So yeah, don't keep watching. Come back and watch, Edmund. And good to see original Raptor Freak Race Mode Travels back in the chat this morning. It's a Lexathon almost. 15 minutes away from 3 hours. That's right. Trevor saying SGA said it's every Canadian's dream to play at home in his press interview. We'll see. I mean, in some ways, it will let him have his course with the Sam Presti and the Thunder. Who knows? Things could change over time. If they get to that success and they get that championship, maybe afterwards there's something that happens. But it could also be he's a franchise player, and the Clippers were the only other team he's ever going to play for, and that was just his rookie year. So we'll have to see. I'm sure he would love to come here, and that's not a bad thing that one of the very best players in the league is open and wanting to possibly play for the Raptors. That's not a bad thing at all. And who knows? Maybe things happen in a way where that does happen at some point. But I don't think it's likely to happen anytime soon. And if Sam Presti and the Thunder have anything to do with it, will never happen. Trust me. Yeah, but we'll see. Anything's possible. Trevor's saying refer to RJ playing for the Raptors. Exactly. He referred to him. Yeah, they're very close friends. And in some ways, there was a real battle last night. And I felt bad for RJ because he struggled and SGA flourished. And in some ways, those two guys being such prominent leaders for Team Canada, there's definitely a competitiveness between the two of them when they go head to head in the NBA. And unfortunately, RJ just didn't have it. And I give a lot of credit to the stifling Thunder defense packing the paint that really, really made it hard for RJ to do what he does the best and what he's been doing lately for us. That's been so good. Yeah, so good. Mo's got my third cutoff. I appreciate it. Mike saying tempo refers to music. Music ties people together like basketball. Diversity of different nights and having different music is probably the play. And in different cities, the musical influences can be used. Yeah, this is true. This is a good point. And this is some of the stuff he's saying here is stolen from their site. This is exactly what they're saying too. If they play a game in Calgary, maybe it's country music. I mean, seriously, they could be playing a home game in Calgary and all of a sudden the tempo is like Western. It could very well be like exactly what Mike's saying. Maybe they go out east and they go to Halifax and there's Acadian music playing all of a sudden around the tempo of the team. This could very well be right. That the diversity of the country and the diversity of the different cities may reflect a different tempo in different places. That's the other thing we got to remember. This team is not just Toronto's team. They're very much going to be playing regular season home games in the other cities across Canada to build the brand across Canada and get support across Canada for this team. So that's the other thing we got to realize about this whole thing with the tempo. That's right. Wayne's saying, don't know, but I will bet Aubrey has a special room in the arena where he can do Aubrey type things outside of the view of the cameras. Don't think he's staying to watch that game, though. Yeah, there's a Drake Club. You can see it when you come up the escalators in the front of the building near Gate 1, just above it. There's a Drake Club there, and that's a private club for very special individuals there at the game, VIP club. And in some ways, he could just chill in there. I don't know if he even stayed in the arena, though. Who knows? I don't care. Whatever Drake did, he wasn't sitting at half court after the second half. In the second half, he just wasn't there. All right, let's do the wrap up, guys. Since you guys have led me to the end of the stream here, my stars for the game yesterday for the Raptors proper game: Grady Dick, Jonathan Mobo, and Jamison Battle. Good to see two of the J rookies stepping up in this game, while Scotty and RJ had a little bit less of a game without their big Austrian buddy out there to be the pivot in the middle to help them get going good. But alas, a blowout loss to the Thunder is not that embarrassing considering who the Thunder are. And in some ways, you can't just disrespect our team. You got to give flowers to the other team. That's really what you should be doing. The stars for the other game in the morning, the record-breaking crowd at Scotiabank Arena for a G League game. Dylan Disu, fantastic, 8 for 9 from 3 with 26 points. My number one star against the Greensboro Swarm, the best team in the Eastern Division of the G League right now at 8-2. And then Eugenio Maroi, a second star. Kennedy Chandler, third star. Jamison Battle, fourth star. Double duty stars for Jamison. And Tyreek Key was my fifth star in the win in that game. Yeah, good stuff. All right, what else do I have to say? Let me see. Is there something there? there is a birthday. We're going to say happy birthday to former Raptor player Jelani McCoy. Jelani McCoy was a Raptor for a while, and people forget about him. But yeah, former Raptor, didn't do a whole lot for us in major ways, but was a part of our team for a while. Jelani McCoy, happy birthday to you, my guy. And he is turning 47 today. So happy 47th birthday, Jelani McCoy. So yeah, we had a little bit of birthday there. Let's see, we did the classic card and all that kind of stuff. Get in touch with your fantasy teams and make sure your lineup is set for the night. Get your stuff done. Did they post the refs yet for the G League game? Let me just look at that because they had that all screwed up earlier, and they only had the ones for yesterday. Did they have the ones for today? Yes, they do. Here we go. Here's the referees for the Westchester Knicks at Toronto Raptors 905. Playing in Mississauga, 7:30 at Paramount 5 Food Center. That's right. We got our 905 game at 7:30 tonight, guys, to watch on a Friday night. The referee crew chief is Tyler Ricks. He is a full-fledged referee in the NBA to a degree. Josh Reed is the referee, number 28, and the umpire is Mary Malo, number 70, the Canadian ref. So there's your ref crew for the Knicks versus the 905 tonight. Tyler Ricks, Josh Reed, and Mary Malo, Canadian ref. So there you go. There's the Raptor Freak stream for today. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate everybody who's not an idiot that is on the channel today with me. Yeah, you guys are awesome. I appreciate everybody. Had a great talk with David Saborn yesterday. Commissioner of Trivia is doing fantastic. We love you, David. Thank you for all that you do for this channel. Thank you, Commissioner Jay, in your birthday week for all you do for this channel. And thank you, Miss Mo, for all you do and all the rest of the Raptor Freaks for your contributions and helpfulness on this channel and the things we do. I really, really do appreciate y'all. And this channel is nothing without y'all. Blackhawk, I'm going to see you on Sunday. I hope so. 905 game, y'all. Once again, I want to remind y'all, we're going to the 905 game on Sunday, and I hope to see some of the Raptor Freaks at the game, watching the game with us in person. 2 o'clock, Paramount Fine Food Center. I'll be down there around 1:15 before the game, so we can have a little bit of time before the game, taking in the ambiance of the arena and just chatting before the game starts. So please come to the game on Sunday, 2 p.m. Bring a toy if you can for Seasons Givings toy drive for Big Brothers Big Sisters, and the Raptors 905 are doing something, a nice cause. So hopefully y'all can come down there and meet me in person if you have not met me already. And if you have already, come back down and say hi to Olex and Monique and Adriana, because we're going to be at the 905 game on Sunday. And we'd love to have as many people come down there and be a part of it. So, yeah, strongly consider it if you're in the vicinity of the arena. Gerald, you should come down there. You should be there, man. My guy, if you're not working, I'd like to see Naco the Nacho come to the game with me, and we can hang out like old times, my guy. Maybe even a little bit outside, Gerald. A little bit like that. Thank you for the W stream, Fiercey. Big W's in the chat for Raptors Freak family and the Raptors 905 winning a big yesterday. And kudos to the Oklahoma City Thunder and our great Canadian players, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Lou Getzdorf. Let's go, Raptors. That's right. Fiercey saying, when was David's birthday? His birthday is OG Anunoby's birthday. And that's like in May or something like that. David's had his birthday already. I just talked to him on the phone. I was just talking to him and catching up with him yesterday. And I was just mentioning that. I hadn't talked to him in a while. And it was good to talk to David and see what was going on with him. Anyway, y'all, have a great Friday. TGIF. Get out there and touch snow, at least in my yard. The grass isn't there right now. And Raptorize your day like Nat Bhatia would. And, yeah, let's just have a great day. And let's hopefully see another victory for the 905 over Westchester Knicks, because our rookies are available to Andrew Jones. That would be great if Darko could allow that to happen tonight. Send them back to 905 and get more time for them and really put the burn on them. 3 games in 2 days for Jonathan and Jameson and them. I want to see that. All right, let's go Raptors. Let's go tempo, y'all. Let's go tempo. Let's go tempo. Let's go tempo. Let's go tempo.